Hello, 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 one and all. Welcome to another episode, the final episode of June of The Fifth Dimension. Here we have multiple guests talking about a very tantalizing, a very highly respected game series, the latest in that series, Zelda 20, you already know, Breath of the Wild 2. We thought it couldn't happen, but hey, it happened. Nintendo did it, and it has been a year since the trailer. I want to end off June with a bang because June is when we got the first trailer of Breath of the Wild 2. And Nintendo, come on, it's 2020, throw us a bone. We have various guests here, along with my boy, you know him, Conrad from Commonwealth Realm. How you doing?
Well, first and foremost, it's a pleasure, like always, to be here, and especially in this whole new format, Fifth Dimension. I can't wait to talk about Zelda, and Breath of the Wild 2 is something that we've been covering on the channel pretty much since the reveal trailer, and pretty regularly, I would say, through our Inside Breath of the Wild 2 show.
Oh, yeah. And I've been loving what you guys have been doing with that lately. Oh, it's so good, like tackling each specific aspect in such a grand way. And, of course, we're also joined by MonsterMaze YouTube, or I should just say MonsterMaze, right? Because I see all your handles are just MonsterMaze YouTube, but just MonsterMaze, right?
Yeah, the MonsterMaze was already taken. I don't know who is it, but I'm gonna find it.
You have to navigate a monster maze to get to the end of the monster maze to get the name MonsterMaze.
Indeed, good sir.
Oh my goodness. If you guys don't know who MonsterMaze is, they do a lot of amazing work when it comes to creating aspects. Because I'm pretty sure you were heading the project of Nintendo Black Crisis' video, creating that underground segment that he was using for that video, right?
Yeah, I've been making quite a lot of stuff for different channels. I'm also doing some stuff for Inkudo. Obviously, I'm also editing for the Commonwealth Realm, so I'm working with Conrad a lot. So yeah, all those 3D models and stuff you see, that's usually my doing. Oh my
god, I love your work. It's so good. How is it so good? Like, if you guys don't know who this man is, check out his channel. You've seen his work. I'm telling you, you probably see his work, but you don't. Like, if you don't know the work that just go check it out. Plug it.
Oh yeah, well, my channel is still fairly new. I only started uploading around April, the end of April. And my first video to really get noticed was my video where I pieced together the whole trailer from beginning to end, like rearrange all the shots so they make more sense and stuff like that. So that's what people know me from. Like I said, I'm still fairly new to I have been working with Conrad for over a year now. I think we started working together last summer. And ever since then, I've always wanted to start my own channel as an addition, because I also have some ideas of my own, especially when it comes to analyzing game aspects and level design. And yeah, so that's where it all started. So you can check out my channel. It's called MonsterMaze, and I do mostly Zelda videos. I also have some other stuff like Silent Hill and one Paper Mario analysis. But yeah. It's still a small channel, so don't expect 50 videos to be ready to be watched yet. But
nah, it's not about. Sometimes it's not about the quantity; it's about the quality. And I know you got the quality. So
cool.
We also have a third guest lined up, AustinJohnPlays. However, he did notify me that he might be a bit late, so he's already in the call. Well, I mean, he's already listed into the call, so he's just gonna join us whenever he can when he gets home. Or he's doing whatever. And then a bunch of you guys have been asking why this specific episode of the Fifth Dimension is starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time instead of 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Well, we had to make some accommodations considering that a lot of our guests here are on the other side of the world. And, I feel that, it's still within the 5 for the Fifth Dimension, so it's all good. But how about let's just dive right into it, boys. A big thing that helped me create and cultivate this idea for the Fifth Dimension, and Conrad knows it because we were there, PAX East this year, where all of us Zelda tubers were literally bar hopping as per the idea of AustinJohnPlays, and I still have the hat, so I can't wait for him to show up on the stream because I still have the hat, Conrad. I still have it. I'm using it. But
I think we all have it. I
Yes.
think we all have it.
Man,
Yes.
if
And
y'all-
that was really a night to remember.
It
Yeah.
was. So while we were bar hopping, we just went and talked so much about Zelda, the games, the lore, the characters, the future, and I'm like, bro, I need to keep doing this every week. So now we're doing it with the boys. So now it's time. Breath of the Wild 2. First question I got throw y'all's way, all right? Because I still believe. You can call me a fool, but I don't care. I still believe, and I will believe to the last day, 2020.
No.
What do y'all think about that?
Ooh.
No. Okay, let's get it. I know the whole idea of Zelda 20 for 2020, and it sounds so damn tempting. But this year, oh my god, this year, we've not had a Nintendo Direct in close to 300 days. General Direct. And it's been a year since the reveal of Breath of the Wild 2. We have no idea when we're getting the next Nintendo Direct, any kind of Nintendo presentation, because we already knew that we would be getting a new Smash character back in March, and then things have just gotten even crazier since then. Sakurai even mentioned that hopefully things are doing better. No, it's not. So
Right.
I just think that Nintendo is just taking it easy this year. They have already sold and broken all kinds of records when it comes with Animal Crossing New Horizons, that they pretty much can just sit this one out. Just wait for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X to launch, and then strike back harder than ever in 2021. And then I mean so hard that we are not really able to comprehend it. Pretty much like fifth dimension levels
Oh my goodness.
that we're talking about here.
Man, because
And
like it
the
is
main
going to be
reason
the
for
35th
it-
anniversary next year.
It is, and it's also the fact that it is the Nintendo 64's 25th anniversary, Zelda's 35th anniversary, and the fact that we could see a new Nintendo Switch model. And this is something I need to point out to everyone watching right now. Breath of the Wild launched on the same day as the Nintendo Switch, March 3rd, 2017. Link's Awakening launching the same day as Nintendo Switch Lite on September 20th, 2019. Breath of the Wild 2 probably launching the same day as the top model Nintendo Switch sometime in 2021. And I think I will just rest my case on that.
Right. All right. So Don, what do you think about the whole prospect of Zelda 2020?
Well, I've also kept up that belief for a long time, but then E3 got cancelled, and we just had this silence. Nintendo just wasn't giving in to the pressure of wanting to see more. We haven't even seen gameplay yet as of right now, so
Right.
I'm very if we would at least have had a bit of a more wider view of what the game is going to be like, we would have been able to judge if a 2020 release was still possible, but we don't have anything as of right now. So, and besides, I think a 2021 release will benefit us all greatly, because the game is going to be, that means the game is going to be bigger, it's going to be better, it's going to be less rushed. It's not going to be a Majora's Mask, although Majora's Mask is good, but that was a very big chance they took.
Yeah, they did.
It's still a miracle game that they managed to do it in a little over a year. I think Breath of the Wild 2, they're going to for sure make sure that this is going to live up to what the first one did. They don't want to release this big juggernaut and then follow it up with a very mediocre, I'm not saying like mediocre in terms of content, because Zelda games are historically always good. Even the lesser good ones are still amazing in many ways.
You want to say that about
But-
Triforce Heroes?
Well, if you look at it from a multiplayer perspective, like a multiplayer perspective, it's still great fun for a lot of people. So it's definitely not a bad game. But yeah, I think personally it will benefit us all. It sucks. We have to wait longer, and having to wait longer is never fun to do.
It isn't.
But I would already be satisfied if we at least get something, if they at least show us something this year, so we can speculate, so we can make more videos about it, because the well is starting to run dry in some regards. Like we've analyzed it to death at this point, and people are hungry for more. So I think personally, I'm betting on like August, September, they're gonna maybe show something new, and then we're gonna maybe also see a release date, or at least a rough estimate of like 2021. I don't think it's going to be 2022. I think that's a little bit too late.
Yeah, nah, definitely not 2022. You know, if it's not 2020, it has to be 2021. You know, I feel there really isn't a reason why it shouldn't be 2021. You know, if it gets pushed out of the 2020 window, because I mean, according to Masterworks, according to Creating a Champion, you know, this game's been in development since at least October 2017, right? And you know, I put out a video today talking and thinking about how much they can add to the world of Hyrule, how much they can add on top of it, and of course, this is a foray that I know you're in, is, you know, the whole aspect and concept of the underground. And, you know, we already know that Nintendo is looking for topographers in order to, you know, help work on Breath of the Wild 2. And you know, it makes you think, like, we have the world already. They already confirmed we're going back to the same world of Hyrule. So why would they need, you know, more topographers, you know, on the team to create more? Because, I mean, obviously, I really don't think they would need them in order to create differences in the landscape of the original world. They had to create something new, and for that new, I feel is like the big, you know, dark, dank catacombs of what is underneath the ground of Hyrule. And I know that you, ooh, why aren't you working on Breath of the Wild 2, huh? Why?
Well, I think you're completely right about the whole. Like, I don't feel like they're gonna expand the overworld. At the very most, they will probably add like an extra island, maybe expand the sea borders a little bit.
Right.
But as the world, as it's constructed right now, it's very barred off in a lot of ways. And besides, it's not necessary. They don't need to. Well, they of course need to add something new, but they don't have to add it on the X and Y axis. They can go down.
Right.
Like,
exactly. Yes. You know,
yeah.
Man. I'm just thinking about how big an underground area could be, like in Breath of the Wild 2. You know, I was playing around with the notion that it could be, like, the underground could be as big as the overground, whatever, like the surface level. Because I mean, like, you know, the underground would call back to the past Zelda games that dealt with a world duality setting. You know, A Link to the Past, the most famous of it all. You know, Light World, Dark World, Hyrule, Dark World. And, you know, we've had things like that in Zelda games time and time again. We've had Ocarina of Time, the 2 time periods. We've had Twilight Princess, the Light World, the Twilight Realm. Some of them are not as fleshed out as others, but I feel that Breath of the Wild 2 could play around with that notion once again.
Yeah, and
is that we never got that plot twist that we waited for, and every Zelda game is very well known for the plot twist. That suddenly, oh, there was more than this. In Breath of the Wild, it was all about the overworld, and I think that Breath of the Wild 2 needs to greatly expand and also surprise us, especially since we're in the same Hyrule as we were in Breath of the Wild.
Right.
So I think the underground areas are a perfect way of expanding it. But one thing I want to emphasize is that I'm not sure if it's going to be as open-ended as the open air of Hyrule. I think it's going to be more linear, because one thing that we experienced, especially when walking underground ourselves, since I had Doni over visiting while I was staying in Krakow for 2 months, we went to the salt mine of Wieliczka, which is like this underground city pretty much, and all made out of salt. We realized one thing, and that is how linear you are underground. It's all about these corridors and going deeper and deeper down. And you pretty much don't have the same level of freedom as you have in Breath of the Wild, which isn't a bad thing, since it could be a great contrast to the open air we have on the surface of Hyrule. And I think those contrasts are probably the best benefit that a Zelda game can have, and also the biggest surprise that the Zelda team can offer in the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Sorry, I was reading the message, but no, I definitely agree with that. You know, a lot of people, ourselves included, I feel like everyone agrees that the story, not the story itself, but the story, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank already on how the story was presented to us. The story presentation of Breath of the Wild definitely suffered because of the open air aspect, right? And in order to, like, I feel they need to strike the right type of balance with Breath of the Wild 2 in terms of, like, you know, what's open, what's linear, what can be presented to you, what can, you know, how well they give us a story or some sort of, like, presentation of the overall game that can be digested better by the players and whatnot. And, you know, I feel that the concept of Breath of the Wild 2 being the second game of, the Breath of the Wild series. I hope it becomes a trilogy. Like, we already know the overworld. The overworld's pretty much established. Everyone and their mamas already played Breath of the Wild, and if you haven't, please go get the game and play it, right? And the overworld of Hyrule is already established, and it's already open, and I'm hoping that we can go go anywhere as we would want to, just like in the first game, in the second game when it comes to the overworld. But the underground, that is when we're going to be dealing with, like a forced path. A linearity in order to tell a better story, in order to have a better type of presentation, in order to strike that balance of duality between the overworld and the underworld. I feel like a huge key, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say like Breath of the Wild 2's name, if it's not Breath of the Wild 2, which I still hold on to the bet. I believe that Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be called Breath of the Wild 2 in Japan, just like Triforce of the Gods 2, right? But I feel that Breath of the Wild 2's localized name is gonna deal heavily with some sort of aspect or concept of underground, below ground, depths or something like that, like depths of the wild or
Zonai depths.
Yeah, Zonai, he said it. He said the Z word. He said the Z word. Everyone get down. Oh man.
Really thought we could have a Breath of the Wild 2 discussion without mentioning the Zonai.
I know, but I was gonna get to it. I was gonna get to it, but you just threw it out there. Yeah, but I do believe that, I had a previous episode about this, specifically talking about the first Breath of the Wild game with Nintendo Black Crisis. And, man, the Zonai is just the worst kept secret of Hyrule when it comes to Breath of the Wild. And I honestly cannot wait to see not only, how they're going to flesh them out, and if they are going to get fleshed out. But, I want to think they are going to flesh out because everything we see in the underground from the trailer looks exactly like Zonai architecture. So, I mean, man, the underground is key. The underground is key. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I really want to point out, and this is the main theme, I think, of Breath of the Wild 2, because Breath of the Wild teased this a lot. Like, it teased the Trinity. Like, we saw kind of the Triforce, we saw kind of the Zonai, we saw kind of the Malice. Well, Breath of the Wild 2 will be all about the Trinity, in all aspects. Power, wisdom, courage, Malice or monsters, Ganon, Sheikah, Hylia, Zelda, and of course Link and the Zone. And I think that this is going to be such a massive expansion of what we already know, that we will be so mind-blown when we get the game that we are not able to comprehend it right now.
I'm gonna throw the ball back to MonsterMaze after this, but can I say, okay, so I was so pumped when I got Breath of the Wild, and we were all making videos on Breath of the Wild. It's like, this game is gonna be the first game that actually dives deep into the Sheikah. And man, I wasn't disappointed for what we got, because woo, man, they went in with the Sheikah technology and the ancient energy and all that stuff. And I'm like, let's get it. But it was blue, and I'm like, okay, Malice is red. And then of course everyone's putting together those videos and theories about Malice power, Sheikah wisdom, and Zonai courage. And I'm just like, bro, Breath of the Wild 1 focused on Sheikah and ancient energy, and of course it has some tinges of Malice here and there, but it wasn't truly openly explored. But now in Breath of the Wild 2, we got Ganondorf coming back from the depths. This man hasn't been in an official Zelda game in more than 10 years, y'all. Literally, Twilight Princess was the last official appearance he's had, right? So we're getting Ganondorf, the source of Malice, and we're going into the depths of the zone of stuff that has Zonai architecture all over the place, and luminous stones that glow in the greenish blue of the Zonai spirit, Twilight, whatever it is. Just give it to me now. Give me this game.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, Austin is here. Austin is here.
You were on a powerful rant there.
Oh no, I just had to go on. Everyone, please welcome our fourth guest, AustinJohnPlays. See, I knew you'd come. I wasn't disappointed. Oh my goodness.
You think I'd leave you stranded, dog?
Of course not. Yo, I was saying earlier in the stream. Yo, I still have the cap. I still have the cap from that legendary bar crawl that we had. Oh my god, thank you so much for the cap, and thank you so much for that idea, bro.
Oh, the first annual PAX East Zelda pub crawl?
Yo, year 2 next year, let's get it!
Absolutely. What up, Conrad?
I'm good. I'm just remembering how wild that round was.
Breath of the Wild.
It absolutely was. And I don't think I know our other guest. Dom?
Don.
Don, what's going on, man?
That's going good. How about you?
All right, hanging in there.
Good.
Sorry, it was late. My car is a lemon, and it's going to be brought back soon.
Oh,
So I was test driving some Teslas.
oh, nice.
Nice.
Damn.
And that turned out to be 4 hours because he was just like, yeah, here's the keys. Go drive around and come back in like, I don't know, a half hour or whenever you want.
Well, if I get to drive a spaceship, I would also probably spend at least 4
man,
hours.
I hope you got intimate with that car. What? Man,
Well, I drove all 4 models.
oh,
and-
nice. Like
yeah.
a model an hour?
Well, like a half hour, and then we talked about it, and then a different model, and then we talked about it, and so on and so forth, like that. Real Austin John? No, I'm a fan account. I'm a parody channel.
Oof. we have been infiltrated by some normie. Oh no.
Rip.
But Austin John is here. So now that he's here, I'm actually gonna throw the ball to you, Austin, after I throw it to MonsterMaze because he was next. But I just want you to go in and everything. So MonsterMaze, what do you think about the whole concept of Malice, Ancient Energy, Zonai, Courage, all that triangular crap? Oh, just give it to me now. All right, go Don.
Okay, well, I'm a little bit more reserved on the Zonai, to be honest. Like, I personally am not too sure what kind of role they will play, if it's going to be big, if it's going to be small. That's why, like, it's actually a little bit of a running thing on my channel why I purposely avoid the word Zonai, or I use it for comedic purpose, because I don't...
The Z
I don't want
word,
to,
oh no!
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure that it's gonna at least appear in some way, because if you think about it, the word Zonai never gets spoken by anyone in Breath of the Wild.
Nope.
The only place where the name actually shows up is in the geography of the map and in Masterworks, but nobody in the overworld, no NPC, no cutscenes ever mention the word Zonai themselves. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna at least, obviously when they're going down into that cave and they see Ganondorf there, like Zelda's a scholar, she has certain knowledge about Hyrule's history that nobody else has, because that's what royal families usually have. They have access to secret information, stuff that has been researched. So I'm pretty sure she's gonna at least mention, like, this seems to be a Zonai ruin, and there's Ganondorf over there, or at least she will be in some way.
I can imagine that conversation, but like Zelda's like, this seems to be built by the Zonai, and then Link's like, the what? Like,
well, I actually joked about that with Nintendo Black Crisis, where as soon as Zelda says the word Zonai, I want her to look into the camera. Like,
oh my goodness. Nah, Nintendo would never do it. Yo, Nintendo would have some, like, come on Nintendo, no balls. I bet, do it. I dare you. I'm looking right at the camera right now. But now, speaking of balls, I want to throw the ball over to Austin with a very specific, tailored aspect. You know, I feel like he might be able to go in really hard. So, Austin, a little birdie told me that Majora's Mask has a really special place in your heart, right?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite Zelda game.
Okay, so here's the thing I want to throw to you. You know, we've seen that that report saying IG Aonuma claims that although Breath of the Wild 2 is not inspired by Majora's Mask, it's going to be a little bit darker than Majora's Mask, and we can all agree that Majora's Mask is definitely one of the darkest games in terms of, you know, the Zelda story and stuff. And I want to ask you, how do you feel about that comparison?
Wow, you are just not beating around the bush. You are just jumping right in, not spending on it or nothing. Okay.
I want you to channel it. Just channel the darkness.
Well, the idea of a game being dark, they're obviously talking about the general overtones, right? And the general overtones of Majora's Mask just became inherent since they're discussing, you know, the 5 stages of grief referring to death and death itself. And for them to go in a different direction that's darker than death, they would obviously have to put focus and attention to it. It's not going to come as natural. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, when you talk about death, yeah, spoilers, shitty time for everyone.
Yeah.
But no, now we're talking about, Link's hand being possessed and weird things like that. And, like, he may be battling his inner demons that can give him hallucinations and deal with more of a psychological darkness than an actual, physical darkness.
I like that. Perhaps, like, oh my goodness, yo, Austin, you really... See, this is why I like having the fifth dimension, because Austin is literally turning the cogs in my head with that notion. Like, imagine, playing off what Austin just said, imagine the arm coming into contact with Link and, and showing him visions in a different way of, not visions, but just like making him see things that makes him question himself as a character and as a hero. As we see in Breath of the Wild 1, visions were a very big aspect on telling the story of Link's memories and whatnot. Now imagine, like, playing off what we see in the trailer, because we saw that flash of light that shows what could have happened to Ganondorf when he got...
T.O. Instead of him getting these memories back in one, his new powers make him see visions of the future.
You mean like Xenoblade?
I didn't play Xenoblade enough like that.
Oh, played Xenoblade so good. But yo, that would be dope. And he constantly sees things that are very messed up that he could avert. And but the direction I was going with is that the arm constantly shows him visions and like hallucinations on how he was not strong enough to avert the calamity in the beginning. And then I'll constantly, bring his, whole, like, psychological prowess into, question. And it's like, wow. It's like, you were supposed to be the knight to protect us. You were supposed to do this. You were supposed to do that. Like, you can blame Zelda all you want because she didn't have the sealing power. But what did you do? You fell. You died. Like, you had to be put in the Shrine of Resurrection. And then Hyrule had to have his ass beat for 100 years until you decided to wake up and say, okay, now it's time to save Hyrule.
Well, he did slay like 100 guardians on his way to his death, so that was still
he
pretty...
did do work.
Yeah, he put in the work, but I mean, like, what good is the work if the mission failed? You know what I mean?
Well, it wasn't Link's fault that the mission failed. Let's face it, someone didn't awake yet. That was the main reason for the failure. It's tough, and this is all... That's why I think Breath of the Wild 2 will also be heavily about Zelda's redemption. Because you could say that she redempted herself by just sealing away Calamity Ganon, but she was pretty much served him on silver plate by Link.
Right.
Now it's time for her to pretty much do the work herself.
Pull her weight,
Yeah, and offer Ganondorf on a silver plate to Link. I think that will be much of the theme in Breath of the Wild 2, and that's also why she is not afraid anymore to go into all of this with Link, because things are going to get much more challenging, much more darker, as also Austin John said, and not only by visuals but also thematically.
Right, because I mean,
we're going to explore some. Yeah, like we're going to dig up some very dark stuff, and I think that this could be the first Zelda games since Twilight Princess to get a T rating. I think that is entirely possible.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because
so
wait, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, that is exactly what many tend to forget, is that this is, after all, the sequel to Breath of the Wild. To get the most out of this game, you should probably have played Breath of the Wild first.
Oh, definitely.
So they will. This game is going to demand from you from so many levels: gameplay, story, lore, narrative. This is like the culmination that Breath of the Wild was building up to, but we never really got to, because everything was just a play organized by Ganondorf, and he was hoping to win with that play. He didn't, and now the hunted are becoming the hunters and coming after Ganondorf, and that's what I love so much about the premise of the sequel.
Man, I'm in love with the fact that, because, like, honestly, when it came to Breath of the Wild, I love so many aspects of it. I'm not saying it's the perfect game. It's close, but it had a ton of problems. And one thing that I felt was a problem in my personal outlook of Breath of the Wild is that
story.
Listen, the story didn't suck. The presentation did. All right, I already know where you're going at. But I'm just saying, one thing that I really didn't like about Breath of the Wild that had so many variables tied to it was the lack of Ganondorf, right? And Nintendo going wild with that trailer, giving us back the one thing I felt Breath of the Wild was missing, Ganondorf, my boy. But man, can I tell you, like, look, here's you know, this is gonna be a hot take, and I don't really care. All right, as much as I love Breath of the Wild, the final boss of that game was a joke. I honestly hated the final boss. But then here's the people that want to play devil's advocate and say that, oh, the final boss of the game and you know, Calamity Ganon was alright, but then Dark Beast Ganon just like, bro, what is this shit? And then people are like, oh, it's a, what do you call it? A final lap type boss. There's a way to refer to it, like, it's a final lap boss. It's a boss that's like, it's supposed to look grand, but you know, you're in the final lap, so it's supposed to be easy to beat, right? Or whatever. Yeah. There's a term for it, but I'm just gonna use final lap boss, right? So if you're like, it's a final lap boss, you like, let it go, and I'm like, no, there's so many ways it could have been better, right? And the funniest thing, and here's the thing that's probably gonna, like, you know, mess with a lot of people, right? How the fuck does a game like Paper Mario Sticker Star have a better final lap boss than Breath of the Wild? Because Sticker Star is literally how you do a final lap boss. At the end of the game, if you play Sticker Star, at the end of the game, Kirsty sacrifices herself to use her as a sticker. So you use her as a sticker to fight Final King Bowser. And when that happens, she like fills up your entire inventory of stickers to fight Final Bowser. So like, oh, you have all these boss ass stickers, but you still have to beat Bowser, and Bowser can still kick your ass if you fuck up, but you have all these tools to mess him up if you know what you're doing. That's how you do a final lap boss. But Breath of the Wild didn't do that. Man, I'm so mad about that.
You're the first person I've ever heard defend or use Sticker Star as an example.
No, I hate Sticker Star. I hate Sticker Star. But how are you gonna have a better final lap boss than Sticker Star, man? That's the point. Ugh.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they rushed it. I mean, Breath of the Wild was already on a time crunch. I honestly believe that they wanted to do something bigger, but
Did
they
you
just
say
couldn't.
Breath of the Wild was on a time crunch?
When it came to, I'm pretty sure
Because they only had 7 years.
Oh yeah. I don't mean it in that way. It's not like in the development time, but they did want to. I'm pretty sure that if it was up to them, they would have, like, up to the devs, they would have at least spent a year longer on the game, but they couldn't, because that's why stuff like underwater swimming is missing from the game, and like something we've had in almost every Zelda game except the Wind Waker.
And then if you guys remember, the physics engine did have a huge like impact on that. It's like that thing kept falling apart, but they got it eventually.
Oh yeah, the physics engine was definitely something that pushed it back additionally, but I'm pretty sure if they really wanted to, they could have had something bigger, but they just, you know, they had to finish it before the Switch launched.
Breath of the Wild 2, baby!
Dude, the
Exactly.
physics engine was half the fun of the game.
I have a theory, guys.
Alright.
Guys, I have a theory here, and I think that this is all deliberately done by Nintendo. At the point when they were working with Dark Beast Ganon, they already knew that they would be making a sequel. They had already given up the idea of DLC 3. And just said, okay, you know what? Let's just give them a little bit underwhelming boss to end off, to make them hungry for more. So that is exactly what we're going to provide them with the sequel. What didn't you like with Breath of the Wild? Well, it's going to be in the sequel. And that is the way you pretty much start off the development of one game. Like, take Super Mario Galaxy, for example. What thing did that game lack? Well, it lacked Rideable Yoshi, so that was the first thing they put into that game. And that is exactly how Nintendo works when they make direct sequels. They just look at, okay, what ideas didn't we not use in the original, and what did people miss the most? And then they start adding that and building upon pretty much level after level after level until the game is completely unrecognizable from what it would have been if it ended up as DLC for the original game.
Maybe.
Right? No, I part of me wants to agree with it, but the other part is just, I'm just so mad about how Dark Beast Ganon, because I mean, like, you give us Dark Beast Ganon, how the hell, like all of the bosses except for Koga in base Breath of the Wild were all Ganons.
They apologized with Long Pass Kosha.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you have the smallest Ganon be the toughest boss? Like, how? Like, but you know, okay, yeah, because he's fast, whatever. And then Maz Koshia was such a baller. That's the boss that Breath of the Wild deserved, right? So I half understand, like, okay, we're gonna give you the better boss fight in the sequel. This is us telling you, like, hey, listen, here's what could have been, but you're gonna get this instead. But then they gave us Malice Kushi in the DLC, so that's kind of like the thought in my head that went against it. But I want to throw it over to Austin. What do you think?
I mean, you're talking about Paper Mario and comparing it to Zelda. I just think about the Pit of 100 Trials and how we don't have like an end boss like that. I mean, yeah, you do have the Trial of the Sword, but the Trial of the Sword starts you at base, and you have like a fixed amount of everything.
Exactly.
There's no way to like stock up BOP, go in there and actually stand a chance. Plus, like, let's face it, if you can listen for a beep, the game is easy.
It does. And then,
like literally your ability to dodge is if the game is easy or hard.
Right. And, I really like how you brought up Pit of 100 Trials, because that's something that I felt, once again, was missing from Breath of the Wild, and, most Zelda games in general, is that, and I hope this happens in Breath of the Wild too, is a summonable secret boss. And you would think in a game like Breath of the Wild, which has a gigantic overworld, that would have things for you to find to, summon a secret boss, like somewhere, like, I'm drawing a blank, but I know either Conrad or Dom knows this. What is that area? What is that arena-looking thing?
Coliseum?
Not the Coliseum. It's where the thunderstorm kept happening over and over again, and he had to get the 4 orbs.
The Thunder Plateau.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that looks like the perfect place to summon a secret boss in Breath of the Wild. But maybe Breath of the Wild 2, boys.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing about Breath of the Wild 2. They need to reinvent the world of Hyrule. Take the same locations that were just used for pretty much shrine quests, and give them completely new purpose. And that's exactly what you bring up. Say a secret boss fight would fit perfectly there. So you're just adding more and more ideas, and that's what I love about the whole concept of Breath of the Wild 2, is that things are going to change, and they are going to change drastically in every respect. Like, will we still have Korok seeds? Probably not. Will we have Sheikah shrines? They will be replaced by something else. And that in itself
you don't think
changes...
we can have shrines?
Yeah, I think so. Well, they could add new ones, but at the same time, it's also been hinted in the reveal trailer that Sheikah technology is kind of taking a backseat in this game. That's the big thing about this, is that Hyrule is going to be different, and it's going to be, well, the landscapes will be the same, but everything else will be changed, and it will feel like a brand new game instead of just another expansion to Breath of the Wild.
Right, but I feel...
Even though it was birthed as just an expansion of Breath of the Wild.
Exactly, so I feel like this is going
to
be...
It's going to end like that.
So, like, I feel shrines are going to return. In some shape or form. They don't have to be Sheikah shrines, but serve the same function. And, there's a bunch of theories, running around with the internet, that Sheikah shrines get replaced by, like, Zonai altars, Zonai shrines, or whatever. Sheikah shrines could be infested with Malice when Ganondorf wakes up, because we've seen Sheikah technology is able to be overtaken by Malice very easily. So maybe you have to clear out Malice out of certain shrines. But a lot of people pointed out that in the trailer that we don't see any Sheikah towers, we don't see Sheikah shrines as far as the eye can see from what we could see in the the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, but I don't think that's a hint towards them being...
We didn't see anything in the trailer.
The towers are definitely gone.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel that's just, it's one of those moments where I feel like, this footage is in development. Because, I mean, like, over Death Mountain, we didn't see any smoke. So, I mean, I just gave me one of those preliminary things.
Okay, you gave me a perfect idea.
Yeah.
It's all about the Trinity that we just talked about in the beginning of the discussion. And it's pretty much like a game of rock, paper, scissors, where Malice beats Sheikah Tech, like Wisdom. Zonai or Courage beats Power. And that's how they will be playing around with in Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, that's a good idea, because I mean, like, that could play into the thing where we saw the trailer where the green energy of the quote unquote Zonai arm is the one able to hold back Malice. Ooh. Yo, that's actually lit. I like that. The like rock paper scissors formation. Like yeah, Malice beats Sheikah. Oh man, yo, Galaxy Brain. Yo, where's Will? Nintendo, we gotta get Nintendo Black Crisis on the phone because oh no, you don't understand. We actually were playing around with this thought process on the stream where like the Sheikah could be responsible on why the Zonite is missing in Breath of the Wild. So Malice beats Sheikah. Sheikah beats Zonite, and Zonite beats Malice. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Exactly.
Don't do this.
I think there's two possibilities.
The way the ancient Sheikah beat the Zonai was so terrific that it scared the crap out of the royal family.
Yeah.
Well, I do think there's two possibilities in that regard, though. Like either the Sheikah attack and the Sheikah energy is just going to be fully replaced with the green energy. So we're going to have that as the new replacement. Or indeed, we're going to have a trinity going on here. But it remains to be seen. But I am a little bit dubious about the fact that we didn't see those towers and shrines, but we also didn't see the Sheikah slate. And at the end of, like, the true ending to Breath of the Wild. And this is also why I do think that they were already planning something story-wise for a sequel, is that Zelda so deliberately says that Varuta has stopped working for some unknown reason. So what if all the Sheikah stack just, its purpose has been fulfilled, Calamity Ganon is gone, and it's going to be gone for another 10,000 years. Up until they find his corpse and wake him up, that is. But if they didn't do that, it would have taken another 10,000 years for enough malice to build up and for the next calamity to happen. So, I don't know. I do feel like they're trying to hint at something regarding the Sheikah attack that is either not going to be as prominent, or it's just going to be totally gone. And it's going to be, like I said, it's done its job. It's going back into slumber mode now, and the green energy is going to take over from this point.
Man, I love the fact how, us as Zelda tubers, and yes, Austin, I consider you a Zelda tuber, so don't say no. Don't say no. Us as Zubers, I feel like it's so funny how we just
please never say Zubers again.
Us as Zubers. Us as Zelda tubers, we put like the 2 and 2 together as like Zonai, green energy, the energy in the hand, forgotten energy, the luminous crystals. I like how we all just shared in like establishing that narrative without Nintendo's consent, and it's like, until they tell us otherwise, like what else is gonna be, right? Shit.
Nintendo's gonna be like, oh damn, now we're gonna have to go with this. Because...
Well, no. Well,
fair,
let's not haste ourselves. Yeah.
Anytime that there's a quote-unquote 4chan leak about a new Pokemon game, the story is always so much cooler than what it actually ends up being. Like,
God damn it.
They were like, oh, Marnie is royalty, and, the Team Yell are secret guards that are going to be protecting her. None of that happened.
Yo, Austin, we're going off that tangent right now. Let me tell you about when Sun and Moon was flying around, and then 4chan was all like, yo, alchemy. They're... Because it was all there. They could have been experimenting on Pokemon human transmutation. That's why Lily looks like that jellyfish thing, and that's why what was it? Guzma looks like a circuitry, and
exactly.
Oh God! So why you gotta hurt me like that, Austin? Why you gotta hurt me like that?
But I a little bit disagree here, because there's a completely two different worlds we live in when it comes to Pokemon. Where, unfortunately, it's not a secret that Game Freak can at times be lazy when it comes to the construction of their games. The potential is just way higher, and they don't get even halfway there. And that's unfortunately something that the Pokemon community has to live with, because this is how Game Freak works. They just have too much success with their current formula, and that's also the way they can push out so many games over such a short span of time.
Man, but it wouldn't hurt them to get
Zelda's
dark once in a while.
Zelda is different. And Zelda is different for the fact that it is supposed to be the storytelling franchise of Nintendo. And I know that Monolith Soft only worked with the open world design of Breath of the Wild. What if Monolith Soft, as the expert storytellers as they are, with numerous plot twists across the Xenoblade saga, are actually taking part in writing the story for Breath of the Wild 2.
You know, I would like that, but I feel that with Nintendo's you know, of course it's constantly changing. Nintendo's structure as a company, their outlook on games and their outlook on how they present them and create them and whatnot, I feel it's constantly changing, but I feel that Nintendo's old-fashioned sense of, you know, pride won't allow that. You know what I mean? It's like, because like this is a flagship game. This isn't like a game on a handheld system that where, you know, they could call on Capcom or whatnot. This is it's not a remake where they can call on Grezzo and, you know, yada yada yada. This is a game that they want to head themselves, that they want to create themselves, and they want to keep all that credit in terms of like the biggest things. Yeah, they would call on people to help, but that's the most they'll ever do. So, you know, I would love a Zelda game where the story is written by the people at Monolith, but I doubt Nintendo's actually gonna, you know, let that happen.
Well, they did have external help before, like Fujibayashi. He started as a
Capcom,
third-party helper.
Yeah.
He did get the freedom to write the stories of Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
Yeah, but remember, that's what I'm saying. Those are the the handheld, and you know, as good as those games are, I feel that they're regulated as, you know, I want to say second tier Zelda games.
And for sure, yeah.
You know?
I totally agree with you. It's definitely not in the same league as the 3D Zeldas, but like when it comes to the story of Breath of the Wild, which is probably one of the most criticized aspects of the whole game, like it's clear that they wanted to avoid like having ludonarrative dissonance, I think it's called, like where the actions of the hero conflict with the story. Like for instance, in Fallout 3, your kid gets, or no, like Fallout 4, your kid gets kidnapped, and you're growing a garden somewhere. You know, it conflicts with each other because, from a story perspective, he should have something better to do at that point. So with Fallout New Vegas, they had a different type of story where someone kills you at the beginning, or almost kills you, and you have the choice to either go after him or just don't. And that makes more sense, because then it's up to you, and you might not want to track down the person who almost successfully killed you. And that's why I agree with Conrad in the way that for Breath of the Wild 2, if the story is going to be bigger, they have to make it more linear, because which Zelda game before Breath of the Wild has the biggest and the most expansive story? It's Skyward Sword, which is the most linear Zelda game of them all. You cannot have a very big epic story and a huge open world where you can do whatever the fuck you want, because you're gonna contrast with that open world sense.
Monolith can do it.
Well, but
Monolith and The Witcher as well. I think The Witcher formula is the perfect way to go for Breath of the Wild 2, because it's linear, but it also offers enormous amounts of freedom. And I think that would be the perfect way also to build kind of the relation. And this is another thing I want to go into, and which I also think you plan to talk about, HMK.
Right.
And that is the relationship and growing relationship between Link and Zelda. Because this is the first time we really get a proper love story, where both have feelings for each other.
Skyward Sword.
There will be a challenge. It was.
I feel like
it was so limited. It was
like
so limited.
Right.
Like a childhood infatuation with each other. Meanwhile, this is like, yo, two grown-ups.
Right, like they met and fell in love as grown-ups. All right, I get what you're saying, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not sure yet, right? If Link actually loves her back.
All right, yeah. See, that's the kicker. That's the kicker
about Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah. So
that is a
go ahead.
No, that is exactly what I think is another big potential of Breath of the Wild, and that is exploring the
romance
love narrative between Link and Zelda. And imagine if this is kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation. This could be such a powerful, tear-dropping tale that I think many may have a problem getting to the end. But that is also how you make the game the darkest Zelda game yet.
What if
because Dark Mix can come both from
the end of the timeline.
Exactly.
And Zelda dies and loses the goddess power within her to destroy Ganon once and for all.
Listen, I don't need that sadness, bro. Maybe in Breath of the Wild 3, but not in this one. Like
the trilogy.
That is the problem.
yes, I want the trilogy to happen. People call me crazy. No, I want Breath of the Wild 3.
HMK, the
Breath
trilogy
of the
is
Wild
already happening.
13-3 Link Returns.
Man,
It's
no,
okay.
stop.
I'm gonna crush your dream right now.
Don't
And that
do
is
it.
because the trilogy actually started with Skyward Sword.
Ah,
That's where
no,
the
no.
whole
I'm
curse,
talking about.
Malice,
I'm talking about in
ancient
current
Chica tech
in current time. I'm talking
came
about
from.
in current time. Man, you can say that the same thing about like all these other Zelda games. Like okay, like
No.
that's like saying Twilight Princess is the Hero of Time game 3.
No, this
Man.
is the trilogy of Malice and Demise and his curse.
No.
Because the curse is
No.
never heard of
No.
in previous Zelda games.
No.
And that is exactly what Breath of the Wild has been exploring.
No,
in Breath of the
what are
Wild
you trying to
2
say? This is
will
the
bring
Hylia
conclusion.
trilogy. I don't.
It is.
No.
That's exactly what it is.
I need Breath
Why
of the
else
Wild.
would they jump so far into the future? It's to find a resolution to the
Man,
curse.
it's because Nintendo need more freedom to do stuff.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
people complained about Skyward Sword, but hey, listen, I want Breath of the Wild 2 to end on such an effed up cliffhanger, where it's like, yeah, Breath of the Wild 3 is happening. Like you know, I want Link to lose an arm. I want his arm to get cut off at the end by Ganondorf, and he's gonna be fully pristine, and he's gonna take Zelda away, and that's how the game's just gonna end. I want that. Give that to me, Nintendo. Just like I want Ganondorf to beat Link's ass at the end of Breath of the Wild 2 to set up Breath of the Wild 3. And then he'll have a Sheikah arm, just like in the concept art.
Once again, we need to look at the bigger picture here, and that is that you may want to have all those games on the same system, because this is also a marketing strategy by Nintendo. Conclude Breath of the Wild saga, this Breath of the Wild saga, or the saga of Hylia, on the Nintendo Switch, and then start a whole new saga on the next Nintendo system.
Speaking of
Pretty
which,
much a next generation, next level. Like Breath of the Wild feels in many ways like the amalgamation of everything Zelda.
right?
It's been everything has been building up to this. And I think that this could be the big conclusion that we've been waiting for. And then we're going to see a massive, and then I mean a massive reboot to the franchise that is going to somewhat continue in the vein of it, but which will change drastically some of the most iconic things we know about the Legend of Zelda franchise. Pretty much bring Zelda and secure its future for the next 20, 30 years. And that is what I think is the mission of the Zelda team with this whole Breath of the Wild project. It's pretty much taking it from the linear timeline thing we have had to this point to breaking it up and then delivering us something completely different when we get to the next Nintendo system.
All right.
Well, this wouldn't be a discussion if we at least get the other side of the of the story. I don't know if anyone else has something to bring into this, like in my opinion, assumption. But
But you know that whole spiel just really makes me wonder if Skyward Sword really is gonna end up on the Switch at any point. You know what I mean?
It will. The Joy-Cons, come on, guys. Joy-Cons.
Exactly. Like, you know, people can also say like, oh, take out a motion control. I'm like, one, motion control wasn't that bad. I actually like the motion control in Skyward Sword. And two, like the whole game is built on that
You
gameplay
can't change
aspect.
that.
Right? So to take it out means to like, okay, so you don't want the game. Like what? And the Joy-Cons can do that easily. Easily. Bro.
And the dungeons. It's pretty much like the people, oh, I love the story in Xenoblade, right?
Right.
But I hate the gameplay. I can't stand the battle system.
But
But I love the story.
Whoa,
and I think that it's the
Conrad,
exactly same thing about Skyward Sword.
with the battle system of which Xenoblade game are you talking about?
A lot of people are never able to get into Xenoblade because of the battle system.
Dude, Xenoblade 2 has, in my opinion, one of the best battle systems in any RPG. But
Yeah, I love it, man. What?
all
like-
that stuff with the elemental orbs, building it up, like when it comes to RPGs, like modern time RPGs. Well, maybe Final Fantasy VII Remake has now surpassed that, of course, but that was before. Like that's a recent game. Xenoblade 2 is pretty old
game
now
for
already.
story, right?
Yeah, because honestly, when people see Xenoblade or hear about Xenoblade, they think action RPG, and when they think action RPG, they think something like Kingdom Hearts or what do you call them? Or Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? And the games never function like that. You know, it functions off an auto attack system, which is very more similar to that of MMORPGs, and you know that it's great. I love it, but
Well, I'm not even
But
an
not
RPG
everyone else
guy in
does.
general.
yeah.
Like, in general, I'm not even. I don't consider myself a big RPG guy, but I managed to get into Xenoblade 2 with no problem at all. I was hooked as soon as I got the first 4 hours out of the way. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm finishing
Xenoblade
this.
Chronicles 2 had a huge hump to get over. That's one of the worst things, that's one of the most notorious things about the game that a lot of people complain about. That, you know, it has a huge hump, you have to get over it, so people call it like a 4 to 10 hour tutorial. But once you get past that, oh
Yeah.
my god, that game is so good.
I mean,
Holy shit.
they're introducing tutorials in the final stage. Like,
Yeah.
that's how far.
Xenoblade
far they-
Chronicles 2 is the Twilight Princess of the Xenoblade franchise.
Whoa!
Twilight Princess also
Whoa!
has this very
Don't-
slow.
Don't.
It has a very slow intro, but then it just boom, it
Yep.
throws you into it.
Okay, here's
True.
another question, because I see this popping up in the chat a lot, because there seems to be sort of discussion, debate. So, here's the thing, guys. To the chat, but then I'm gonna direct this to, you know, our boys here. Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2's true timeline placement has not been confirmed yet at all. And a lot of people keep on taking what they see on the website as some sort of confirmation that says it's all three timelines. That's not how it works. It's just reconfirming what Nintendo said way back before when the game came out, that the game takes place at the end of the Zelda timeline. Where does it take place? We don't know. They haven't told us. And they haven't told us specifically for a reason. They say, oh, we know where it is, but we're not gonna tell you. You know why? Because we like seeing people speculate and create theories. It's how you guys perceive it, and we like seeing that. That is their reason. So as of now, Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 has not been placed in the Zelda timeline. All we know is it's at the end of whatever timeline it takes place. No Dragon Break, none of that has been confirmed, right? However, with that being said, here we go, boys. You already know I am Team Child Timeline. I'm gonna throw it to Austin first. I'm Team Child Timeline. Where do you think Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 takes place in the timeline?
One of two simple answers.
All right.
One, the one that immediately follows Twilight Princess, because they literally said Twilight.
Right.
Or two, if you take Hyrule Warriors.
No!
No, MathPad. No MathPad, please.
No! Stop
And
it.
the different wormholes that opened up. Then,
oh, man.
How did I know?
then it makes sense that it's a convergence.
Right. So we're gonna disregard that. And Austin says Child Timeline. All right. I'm gonna leave Conrad for last. MonsterMaze, what about you?
I'm a Child Timeline boy.
Let's go!
Yeah,
All
of
right.
course. I mean, the
go
biggest
ahead.
reason for me was there's when it comes to like direct references, the Child Timeline is just more prevalent. Like
Right.
it's just more dominant. We see the statues of all kinds of child timeline Goron figures in Goron City. Like Austin said, the mention of
Twilight.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Just in general, it's more like, they have all these other Easter eggs with all these other place names, and like we have Lineback Island and that kind of stuff. But
But
that's
Lineback,
just-
that's just a name, bro.
that's just a name of an island. That's just a little Easter egg for us Zelda fans. Like, oh, look, like, well, I know this. But
American football confirmed for Zelda.
but yeah.
All right, so
Child Timeline.
and
sure.
finally, Conrad, my boy.
I still think it's a convergence, and the reason why I think it's a convergence is that there's so much.
So much of everything. I understand.
this
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, like there's just no way you can place it in one timeline with this game. And
No,
I'm
I
going to
have
bring
the
up-
way. I have the wave,
I know,
Conrad. I
I know.
have it.
but I need to bring up one thing, and that is that the most outspoken, loudest, and at the same time most annoying fan base when it comes to the timeline placement of Breath of the Wild is the Downfall timeline.
Yeah, you know, I agree, because
they do have a lot of points.
I know they do. But
Direction.
the thing is, like, I'm gonna let you finish, but like, you guys need to understand, when we refer to that of the fallen Downfall timeline stands, you guys need to understand, there's a lot of people within that community that just straight up shits on and rips on anyone else that thinks it's in any other timeline, and that shit gets annoying. Like, it's fine, it's like, oh, I believe it's Downfall timeline. Okay, understandable. Have a nice day, you know? But it's like, oh man, you think it's child timeline? You must be stupid. And I'm like, okay, bro, that's uncalled for. Come on. So
I
go ahead,
met that
Conrad.
so many damn times. But I do agree. Most points to the child timeline, but there are also indications to the adult timeline. And I just feel like they did this on purpose. They just threw us a curveball that we really can't handle right now, which will become much more evident when we get the sequel.
Right.
Because that's intentional from their side. They just want us to do all of this speculation. They want us to build these massive worlds that may or may not come to fruition in the sequel. And I feel like that is the perfect way of doing it. It could even just be legends or fairy tales, as it's also been hinted by some, saying that everything else that has happened in Zelda up to this point was just legends, which makes it very easy to continue the timeline after Breath of the Wild. So you have so many possibilities, and all of them are very interesting. Both child timeline, the convergence that Austin brought up, the idea by Rinkuto about the time-traveling ancient Sheikah from the era before Skyward Sword, and just so many others, including the Legends theory, are all just perfect examples of exactly what the Zelda team wanted. Speculation, theories, and discussions about the placement of this game. And then they're going to just surprise us when we come to Breath of the Wild 2.
Exactly. And, you know, here's my take on the whole situation. Like, the reason why I continue to believe that it's in the child timeline. Now, I understand there's proof for the child timeline, adult timeline, and even the adult timeline and the Downfall timeline. Now, one thing that a lot of people bring up, and I see in the chat is brought up, that seems to discredit the child timeline, are the Zora murals, which talk about, you know, Princess Raikou becoming a sage in Ocarina of Time, and that only happens in either the Fallen timeline or the adult timeline, right? You know, because there's no way for it to happen in the child timeline, because Link goes back into the past and continues, and we follow his journey as a child, and he's able to, you know, stop the events in his own universe from letting what happens in the adult timeline or the Downfall timeline to happen. However, here's one huge thing you need to consider, all right? There's a couple of huge things you have to consider, all right? In Goron Village, we have, you know, the Gorons that exist in Twilight Princess in the wall. Like, that's a huge thing. It's like they existed.
Not only Twilight
what they
Princess,
look like.
Majora's Mask as well.
Exactly. Like they're there. We know they
Armani,
existed. That it's in their likeness, and that's Gorons from Twilight Princess, Gorkoron, right? And it's straight up right there. And then another thing you guys need to consider is that the naming conventions of Lanayru, Eldin, and Faron only existed in the child timeline. Yes, we have them in the unified timeline, which is in Skyward Sword, but the only time they're ever referenced again was in Twilight Princess, Child Timeline, and Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
And then a huge thing they have to tie this all together is like, oh, but the Zora scales, the Zora murals. How can they know about Evil King Ganon? How can they know about Princess Raikou being a sage? How can they know all that and exist in Breath of the Wild if it's not in, you know, the other timelines besides the child timeline? Here's how. Easy question. You know how? Because one person knew about all of those stories. One person, and you know who that person was? Link. Because he traveled back from the future into the past, and he had to recount everything that happened in the future to the royal family to prove his story, along with the Triforce of Courage, to let them know that Ganondorf was up to no good, and those were the legends that were passed down through the royal family, told to them by Link, that made their way to the Zora mural, all that good jazz in Breath of the Wild. Child timeline, boys. Get this cheddar.
I like this.
It's good, but I'm not gonna like. I would love for it to be in the child timeline. I think the child timeline is the by far most interesting of the Zelda timeline branches.
Right. And that's the only timeline where the kingdom didn't go to shit.
True.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just wait for Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much more to reveal. And when I see there's no shadow of a doubt, then we can say child timeline, no doubt. But until then, the critics, especially the Downfall timeline fan base, will never ever accept that this game takes place after Twilight Princess.
Right. And here's another question I want to ask y'all. Do you believe, because I like the inclusion of Ganondorf, I feel is a gigantic clue that to let us know that yes, Breath of the Wild 2 will finally stomp this debate. I believe that Breath of the Wild 2 will finally solidify where this game takes place. These games take place in the timeline. What do you guys think? Do you think,
we thought
it will?
We thought that about Breath of the Wild too, and look how that turned out. It only made it more confusing. But yeah, I guess they're gonna have to. They have to justify Ganondorf being there. They have to justify certain things. So it's they might not flat out tell us this is where it takes place, but they will at least give us more to work with to piece it together.
Right.
Well, the person
That's my take.
reveal it will be Ganondorf. Because you have already mentioned this before, but Ganondorf's memories could pretty much give us those holy shit. This is that moment in HD.
Right, exactly.
But I don't mean Twilight Princess HD, but in Breath of the Wild HD.
Right.
And that is the moment you're gonna be completely mind blown because you realize, holy F, it all ties together. And you get to experience those crucial moments in the Zelda canon in a completely new way and a completely new visual, but in the Breath of the Wild art style. And that is when you realize how damn important Breath of the Wild is to the Zelda timeline. It's pretty much the Ocarina of Time of the timeline, but in the reverse way.
Right. What do you think, Austin?
I'm sorry, I literally zoned out there for a second.
Nah, you're good. I'm just the simple question was that: do you think Breath of the Wild 2 will finally confirm the timeline placement?
I feel like there's a reason they haven't flat out said where the timeline placement is, and considering that, you know, while they were working on the DLC, they were thinking about making a separate game, and because of that they held off on it, and maybe there is going to be some weird convergence that's going to be just flat out explained in this game. Maybe that's going to be
I'm
part
not
of the
ruling
story.
that out. I'm really not ruling that out. But every time I hear convergence, I'm like, the fact that we have a multiverse. What?
We need physical evidence.
But
you know what? Like, other than names of places, has there been anything that directly links it to anything other than, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. The Twilight Princess timeline is the
Child
hero's
timeline.
victory.
Yeah.
That's the child timeline.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that would make it not that?
Does anyone remember which
The Zora.
The Zora.
Zora. But
does
the
anybody
Zora could also-
remember which like the games she refers in the first cutscene, like Zelda? She says like something about
that
Yeah.
cutscene is just so messed up
Yeah,
because
so-
the localization team completely botched it in
Yeah.
English.
So
Oh, they did.
She referenced Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, and Twilight Princess in the first verse, right? But then in the English version, the second verse is like really, really muffled, so we couldn't hear it. But in the other versions, it's not muffled, so you hear other games which allude to, if I remember correctly, Wind Waker, A Link Between Worlds, and something else. Like she alludes to games like of all timelines, which is like, what? Like, but that was not really.
Convergence.
Yeah, it really could be a convergence. So I mean, like, I'm not knocking that idea, but I mean, like, the fact that Zelda already plays around with multiverse theory is just a huge thing. and for them to play around with a way to like combine all of that aspects, they'll have to deal with some sort of like really like freaky dicky wonky magic stuff. But I mean, like, the Triforce has the power to do anything, so
hang on.
that. Yeah.
What if the gods, the 3 gods, they're all omnipotent and they can see what happens in the other timelines, and they shared it through story and the knowledge of Hylia and the Zelda Hylian family.
Ooh, man, I like that. Wow.
He just dropped a bombshell.
Whoa, Austin, I like that. Holy, yeah. Because I want to believe that the goddesses that exist in a plane outside of the universe that is Hyrule, I want to believe that they're constant, that they're static and constant. So
yeah.
Wild.
Gods transcend multiverses.
Right.
True.
That's good. That's tasty. Wow.
Well, it also kind of depends on what the goal of the timeline split is, like if it even has a goal. But I've
the goal of the timeline split is to take pressure off of the team explaining it.
Well,
yeah.
Besides the real life
You
implications,
had a line of original games that pretty much don't fit with the 3D games. That is the biggest problem with the Zelda timeline.
Well,
Because-
also that.
Like the child and adult timeline make perfect sense. Then you get the downfall timeline, which
You know what?
damn
I mean,
it.
to be fair, you can literally take all 3 parts of the timeline, break them apart, and literally just say at the end of a timeline, a few thousand years happened, and then these events happened, and then a few thousand years happened, and then this timeline happened.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on whether this benefits Nintendo or not. Like, on the other hand, you would think that maybe they want to be done with the whole timeline split stuff, and they just want to, like we said,
They
convert
just
it.
want to live their life. Leave them alone.
Yeah, but the thing is, the whole timeline split, as you know, as
I think
much as
it's
people,
more than that.
But I was gonna say the timeline split, you know, despite what people think about, like, oh, they're wrong, I'm wrong, or like they're wrong, I'm right, they're right, I'm wrong, whatever the conversation is, the fact is the timeline split creates conversation, and conversation creates buzz, and buzz creates money, right? So I don't think they're gonna do away with it, because the constant debate that will never end thanks to the timeline split will always be a focal point in, you know, talking about Zelda. And the more people talk about it, the more, you know, the more people know about it, and the more people that know about it, the more people will buy their stuff. So, you know, I don't think it's something that, you know, they don't want to deal with anymore. It works to their snap. It works more to their favor than it does against them.
And no one's even talking about the Majora's Mask timeline split.
Okay, Austin, I'm about to burst your bubble. I remember you were talking about that when we were in Boston. All right, but the thing is, Majora's Mask is in a universe that just like it. I set you free. Like it's
a dream.
Yeah, it's not really. I wouldn't say it's a dream, but it's a world created by the Majora's Mask using the memories of the Skull Kid and
Hyrule Encyclopedia. Yeah.
So,
but do you guys agree
But
that
that doesn't
the
explain
fallen
what happened in
timeline shouldn't
Abby.
exist?
wait. Okay, MonsterMaze, hold that thought. What did you say, Austin?
I said that doesn't explain what happened in Navi. Link never found him. Her. They.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, okay.
Navi died.
Yeah, Link never
You don't
found her.
know that. You don't know that.
No. Here we go. I actually made a theory on that. I made a theory video on that because it was a theory that I found on a message board. It was like, every fairy has a role, and when the role is done, the fairy just goes poof. Just like how fairies, when they heal you, they go poof. Navi's dead, bro. Like,
Kind of like wasps at the
I'm
end of their
wrong.
life cycle. They just go crazy and just eat a whole bunch of sweet things and sting people because they're assholes.
basically, yeah. So like,
Austin,
Link never found
I am-
Navi. Like, Navi's dead, bro.
Austin,
Navi's gone.
I'm so sorry for bursting your bubble, but the 5 stages of grief and Majora's Mask is all about Link realizing that now.
Conrad, don't hurt me.
And it-
Like, yes, I know.
And it's not coming back.
Yeah, Link is dealing with
and
Navi's
it's
death.
time-
Yeah.
And it's time to move on. And that's what we see at
That
the end.
actually adds up really well.
That
That
hurts.
is
I
ending.
got nothing.
Oh, Austin got nothing. Let's get it. All right,
You know,
Monster-
because Link is experiencing all these things personified through others and items, and
Guys.
that was his way of dealing with the grief.
guys, he deals with the grief of Navi's death, and then is filled with regret and becomes the hero shade.
Oh, he became the hero shade because he wasn't remembered as a hero.
I know, but I just want to spitball. But MonsterMaze, all right, go ahead. What were we saying before we went off that tangent?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sometimes you guys break up, so I'm actually after this one, I'm gonna reboot Discord real quick. Maybe it'll fix the problem.
All right.
But yeah, I was just saying, like, are we all in agreement that the downfall timeline, like, technically should not exist?
Yeah, because it's a what-if scenario. It's literally a what-if scenario.
It should be on the side. It just should be on the side. I don't think Ocarina of Time should have been tied into A Link to the Past at all. I think that it was a major mistake by the Zelda team.
Well, A Link to the Past references a lot of what happened in Ocarina of Time.
To some extent, but you could also have a parallel...
Oh, are we getting into the fifth dimension?
Right, like to understand this, we must talk about parallel universes.
Yeah, and that's where we pretty much get into the messy stuff, which Pokemon is all about. When we bring that up, and that timeline, which is an even bigger cluster F than...
you guys notice how we stopped talking about Breath of the Wild 2 for like a good 20 minutes?
Yeah, but let me get back to Breath of the Wild 2.
I mean, when you were talking about Xeno, I just zoned out and...
I definitely understand. Yeah.
But it made sense because of Monolithsoft, and they are helping out with developing Breath of the Wild 2. But one thing we haven't touched about so far about Breath of the Wild 2, we have been going a lot about lore, we're going about a lot about characters, a lot about locations, and the world itself. But what about the gameplay? Seriously. Okay. Breath of the Wild just revolutionized gameplay in the Zelda sense. But there were some things that just didn't exactly hit the mark. And let's just start with the biggest one of them all, dungeons.
Give me dungeons.
Are we getting anything else than Zonai dungeons in this game?
Look, honestly, I feel that, if all the dungeons were built by the Zonai, I'll be fine with it. But I mean, it'll have to be all different motifs. But I want to go out and say that I actually like the Divine Beasts. And a lot of people are like, oh, traditional dungeons. I'm like, yo, the Divine Beasts were actually pretty lit. I like them a lot. All right, but I understand why people would want traditional dungeons in the sense of what we've seen in past of the games. And I would love, I feel that's the only way to incorporate dungeons in a Breath of the Wild sequel. Like, where were the dungeons in Breath of the Wild 1? We didn't say anything. We've seen the world. We've seen it, and we've gone all around it to hell and back. Yada yada yada. Right? All the dungeons were underground, and they're all Zonai built. That doesn't mean that they all can have different elements or motifs. But I feel like all of the dungeons are going to be built by the Zonai, and they're all going to be underground.
Yeah, and it's going to be themed much like the Divine Beasts.
I think people's biggest hold up with wanting quote traditional Zelda dungeons is not only do you progress the story, and therefore there's a sense of accomplishment. And there's only like an Ocarina of Time 10. So you can think of I remember my first time playing Skyward Sword. I did the 3 areas, and they were like, all right, well, you got to go back to those 3 places. They're harder now, and there's different stuff you got to do, and it's in a different order. And I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. All right, great, sign me up. And it was not knowing when the end is happening. Mm-hmm. That's what I liked about that. And when it comes to Breath of the Wild, it's like, there's 120! And it's like, what? Am I collecting Pokemon?
I honestly like
you're
that,
essentially still doing the same mechanics, the same little mini questionable pieces that are normally in big Zelda dungeons, but they're just split everywhere. So it's like, oh, let's make this shrine with this mechanic, this shrine with this mechanic. And yeah, you could do traditional dungeons, but at the same time, I kind of like the shrines. And going back, yeah, hang on. The whole idea of the Switch is the pick it up, play for a little bit, put it down. Pick it up, play for a little bit, put it down. You can do those shrines in those quick little spurts. And that's that nice, I mean, you know, we're irregular as we do this for an occupation, but for a casual player, you know, oh, okay, I'm on my way home from work. I found this one shrine. I could beat it. Great. Get off the train, off the bus, something like that. Know what I mean?
Right.
So it makes sense that they're like 120 mini game that you have to complete.
You know, I really did like that whole aspect of the Sheikah shrines being scattered all over Hyrule, because I mean, along with what Austin John said about like how, you know, it's pick up and play and put down with the whole switch mechanic and whatnot, it really gave me a sense of accomplishment, because of course, like you said, beating temples gives you a sense of accomplishment, because I mean, not only do you get further in the game, you get stronger, and you know, push the story forward. But in Breath of the Wild, every time I found a shrine, I felt accomplished. And then I beat the shrine, I felt accomplished. I mean, like, look at me. I am being rewarded for exploring this land by, you know, finding these awesome shrines that not only are fun, but they give me what I need in order to extend my life or my stamina.
And some are hard to find.
Right. Yeah. So when you find the really hard ones, I'm like, bro, look at me, Dad, I'm doing it. Like,
the only thing
I like to lurk on Reddit, and one person was talking about, you know, how accomplished they felt in Breath of the Wild, and I left a comment in there. It was like, listen, my first time that I got to that shrine that you're supposed to count the constellations, I had no idea what to do. I was clueless. That's one of the reasons that I paused doing Shrine Hunters. I didn't know the answer.
Bro.
I could have figured out that one.
Bro.
And then I eventually got the guide, and I looked at, and that was the first thing I read, and it was just like, huh, that's dumb.
Dude, let me tell you right now, when I know exactly that shrine. When I found that shrine, you know, my dumbass thought, I'm like, okay, it deals with constellation. I went and saw the shrine, and I looked at the sky. And I'm like, I'm not seeing any answers. I'm looking at the night sky with the stars. I'm like, I'm not getting it. What the fuck? And then I figured out. I'm like, oh, the constellations in the temple, man. What the fuck? Like, oh.
I just did trial and error.
Yeah, and then you have to figure out that you have to count the duplicates once. That was also pretty tricky. That was definitely one of the biggest brain teasers when it comes to shrines.
And you want to know something funny? There are 4 rows of 5, so there are 120 different variations.
120 shrines! Oh, man. God, I love Breath of the Wild.
I think the only thing that kind of was a little bit more of a disappointment when it came to shrines for me was that after a while, the options in terms of your rewards get a little bit slim. Like you're exploring some place, you see something interesting, and you already know it's either going to be a shrine or a Korok seed or something along that line. Like, I would have loved to see more stuff. Like, even though it's also technically a shrine quest, but can you, like, what did you think the first time you saw one of those big mazes, those labyrinths in the distance? You were like, what the hell is that? Like, it was so different from the rest.
Bro.
When I first saw it, I was like, there's got to be a way to cheese this.
Yeah.
When I
can literally just climb up and then look from the top.
Yeah, but like, do you remember in Twilight Princess where you break this random boulder in the overworld, and there's this huge cave that just keeps going and going, and you're not gonna know what the reward is gonna be at the end. With the shrines, you already know you're gonna get a spirit orb. That's it. And I think for Breath of the Wild 2, it would be cool if they add some stuff that's more varied. Like, you find some random cave that just keeps going. You find like beneath the sand, you find like the tip of a pyramid or something.
Like a more dynamic landscape.
Right.
I think the word we're looking for is actually diversity. The same way we had a massive diversity in the races and landscapes of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild, that should also be pretty much depicted in the dungeons, enemies, because variety and diversity was one of the things that Breath of the Wild lacked with, especially when it came to the number of enemies. It was just like different colors.
Oh man, yeah, that's one of the minuses.
Don't get me started on how horrible the enemies were.
And that is one specific area. Diversity and variety.
Weren't there 6
one specific
enemies?
Area where Breath of the Wild 2 can just smash.
I got you,
Breath of
Austin.
the Wild.
I'm about to make sure right now.
Knock it out of the park.
So
yeah, where were all the other classic enemies? Like
They're
if you compare, like-
underground. They're underground.
Yeah, but like
Or they're
Ocarina of Time was made in what was it, 98? And if you compare the enemy list of those two games, a game that came out in 2017.
But AI, it's all about the AI.
Well, they could have easily put in some levers or something in the desert and some other like easy to program. Like some of those enemies are not that difficult to make in that, like just like a keys.
Well, the thing about Breath of the Wild that made it take so much, took it so long to develop it, was to make the world believable. They wanted to be the most organic Zelda experience, and that's the best way of describing.
I'm gonna pause you, Connor, really quick. Austin, if you want to go down, if you want to go down to the purest sense, there's only 10 enemy varieties in the game.
Not including mini bosses. Don't count the Moldugas.
I'm not counting those. Yeah, I'm not counting those. I'm not counting those. No.
It's still the smallest variety of enemies we've had in a Zelda game.
Yeah,
and also like the world being as huge as it was, having only those 10 enemies that, you know, without clearing more divine beasts, it's still those 10 in the same exact forms. I mean, the only difference is the elemental keys, right? And the two different variations of Octorok.
Yeah, they should have had enemies that are native to only one province, like that are completely unique to that province. And we didn't have that.
What's the dark place north of the Lost Woods?
Typhlo Ruins?
Typhlo Ruins.
Yeah.
Now imagine the Typhlo Ruins with Skulltulas.
No.
Hang on.
I have a very bad relationship with
Skulltulas. Regular hanging Skulltulas, and then also ones that literally run on the ground and they're stupid fast.
Why you gotta terrify me, bro?
And imagine all
because
the ruins.
we need that.
I agree. That leads into this question that I want to pose to you guys, right? And I'm gonna answer my take first. What enemy, like, of course, you know, the sky's the limit when it comes to original enemies. Like, oh, what's something new you want to see? I mean, like, you know, creativity is the limit to that. But when it comes to enemies that have not been in Breath of the Wild from the past Zelda games, what is one enemy, terrifying or otherwise, that you want to see in Breath of the Wild 2? My take, before I go use the bathroom really quick, because I'm going to let you guys fight amongst yourselves, my take, my enemy, I want to see Dead Hands. Bring back Dead Hands in Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, yeah.
We want everything back from the Spirit Temple.
You want Armos? I never really liked Armos.
Bro, I would love Armo. Armos and Dark Knots.
Oh, Dark Nuts and Iron Knuckle. Ooh,
Iron Knuckle. Oh my god.
Right,
give us
I'm gonna be right. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna be right back and use the bathroom.
One-on-one duels in general. Oh my god, I would love to see that in like proper sword fights, duels.
Yeah.
Especially
Like,
combined with new fighting techniques.
So, have you played Final Fantasy VII Remake, Austin?
Oh yeah, I almost 100%ed it, except for the bike race.
I damn love the duels, the one-on-one duels, when you really start to feel like a soldier, like a proper soldier.
Did you play it in New Game Plus in hard mode?
Yeah, like I just want so much something like that in Breath of the Wild 2.
And we could have so many enemies. There's the ghosts. I'm just thinking of like Ocarina of Time and Link's Awakening, because those are the two games that like come to mind the most. We didn't have the likes, which you know what? All the armor is disposable, and or all the weapons are disposable in Breath of the Wild. Why don't we have likes that can literally steal and break your armor and you don't get it back?
Oh my god. And imagine Wall Masters. It's all about the theme of hands, right? Floor Masters and Wall Masters. It's perfect.
What if the Wizrobes didn't suck?
Oh my god, the Wizrobes were really no. I think in general, like the creepy type of enemies are very popular when it comes to the demand of I really miss that stuff. Like
what I miss, who's dead?
I was saying like, since all the weapons are breakable, why don't we have likes that steal your stuff, and even after you kill them, you don't get it back?
Man, that's such a that is such a crime, you know, because likes are actually one of my most hated enemies. If you guys get it, do you guys get what I'm saying? Like that's
they're classic. So
they're classic, but I mean they're the one enemies that I love to hate. There you go. They're the one enemies that I love to hate the most, right? So the fact that we don't have likes in Breath of the Wild, bring them back in Breath of the Wild 2. I would love that. Oh God.
If I had to choose, it's probably Redeads and Gyptos. I just really want to see those guys return.
Redeads, bring them back. Oh my God.
It just brought so much weight to the hero's story, basically. Like, can you imagine? Like, Link was, I don't know, what was he, like 10 years old or something in Ocarina of Time?
9.
He got 9.
Yeah.
He goes into the bottom of the well. All that creepy shit that's happening there, like that takes some courage, you know. And it took me some courage as a kid as well.
But the enemies can also be used as a part of the world building. You don't want to place enemies completely randomly, which I felt that Breath of the Wild did commit that sin a few times. And one of the most wasted opportunities in that game was the many ruins scattered around Hyrule. Imagine if those places, just like Hyrule Castle Town in the adult era in Ocarina of Time, had redeads.
Oh, could
Just
you
a
imagine?
remind of all the inhabitants that were killed on that day of the Great Calamity. Imagine just to see the consequences and have to fight it. That would just be so powerful.
Nintendo no balls. Man.
Plus, it would be cool to see ruins that have nothing to do with the Hylians or the Zonai or whatever, and it just like it's just some old crypt, and there's all kind. Because the first time I found the Forgotten Temple, I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" And then it's okay, it's Guardians again. There's Guardians inside there. How did they even get there? Like, it was just a little bit disappointing sometimes to find the same enemies over and over and over again, and they would do well to keep like. Every dungeon in Zelda usually has unique enemies, like unique enemies that are like you said, like the Spirit Temple has. That's the last dungeon in the game, if you don't count the last dungeon, and you're still getting introduced with new enemies.
That's the last dungeon if you don't include the last dungeon.
Man, a final boss dungeon, but God, man, talking with y'all just really makes me understand how much I fucking love Ocarina of Time. Holy shit. That game is fucking good.
They were way
Ocarina of Time, and I'm going to continue to say this to the end of days. That is the Zelda game with the by far best pacing. By far best pacing.
Yeah, no, it had amazing pacing. Yeah.
The way that game just evolves and just slowly puts you into it until you're completely consumed by it. That is just so close you can get to perfection when it comes to video game design as it's possible. Like, people just bash on it, oh, it looks ugly and it didn't age well, but like the overall structure of the game has aged better than any other Zelda.
Ocarina of Time 3D, touche. It looks good again.
Give me Ocarina of Time full HD remake, kind of like Resident Evil 2. Let's get it.
Final Fantasy 7 remake style.
Right. Oh yeah, give it to me, Dad.
You want to know something sad?
Huh?
You want to know something sad?
What?
There are 10 mobs in Breath of the Wild. There are 29 hostile mobs in Minecraft.
and then you want to come at me for using the Paper Mario comparison?
That's depressing. That's so
oh
depressing.
my goodness. But
yeah, they will fix that with Breath of the Wild. I'm pretty sure.
Man, I hope that will be inexcusable if they don't, or if they do it in a way that is not as substantial as, you know, a lot of us are thinking. I mean, because
they have to have new mobs. There's no way they would just recycle the same mobs.
Yeah.
Oh, or just add 2 or 3 and be like, all right, that's done.
No,
like
man.
they're not gonna do that.
One of my biggest things that I hated, and I'm sure you guys and the chat can agree with me, the thing that disappointed me the most of the rewards from shrines.
Oh yeah. Oh.
What you like me like overall chests?
Oh yeah, the
like
chest.
oh yay, I got a spear.
Yeah, it was useless. It was
pretty. Like the only time when it actually did happen, when you're like, wow, climbing gear, that's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, when you got the clothing and boy.
Yeah, but it just didn't happen that many times.
Well, yeah, the climbing gear, that was 3 rewards. In fact, I believe the climbing gear was that the 3 mazes?
No, the mazes were the Savage gear.
Yeah, the climbing gear was just randomly spread around, but I don't even remember which which shrines it was.
Right.
But like,
Oh,
they could have
no,
given
it
us
was
a whole
the
bunch of
dueling
cool-
keys.
Oh wait.
Yes,
Wait.
yes.
What if you do still have armor in Breath of the Wild 2?
Of course.
The same armor that we've had, not, you know, 1 for 1, but the same concept. But big butts cannot lie. That has slots to equip different perks.
Okay, you need to.
That's
that
deep.
deeper.
That's
And-
deep.
And when you complete a shrine, you may find the climbing perk, whether it's a medallion or a crest or a talisman or something, and you attach that to this gear, and you get climbing 1.
Yeah,
And then
Nintendo, are you
get a
watching the
second
stream?
one for climbing 2,
Nintendo, are you watching
and another
the stream?
for climbing 3?
So that basically replaces the Great Fairies then. That's what you used to upgrade your armor previously.
I don't think he really means upgrade. I just think he means like, okay, so like each
Like
each
an
gear-
RPG.
Yeah.
Like now
Where do
you
you-
can now you can climb in the rain. Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, hang on.
Please.
I also think that there would be rare talismans that do one thing like that. So instead of climbing by 1 point,
Oh,
instead
yes.
climb in the rain. Or the base equipment itself may have these rare perks.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah. Like
Then- Then
a
that
perk-
changes the dynamic of the game even more.
Right. One perk they could have is like, move faster when targeting enemies, or possibly, increasing the
yeah.
window for perfect shield bash, and shit like
Or
that.
cool down on the Guardian perks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
it's so funny how you say that, Austin, because someone in the chat actually put this into perspective that you don't play Xenoblade, but what you want is Xenoblade gems in Zelda.
Well, I was thinking materia in Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah, it's a very similar aspect. Yep.
Or
Yeah.
enhancements in Minecraft dungeons.
Right. No,
Is there-
I live for that. I honestly live for that, and then that will give you a way to build your own personalized armor set that you love wearing, with perks that can be kind of across the board, and you don't have to like, oh great, now I have to climb some. I have to put on this ugly ass gear.
Oh.
Or it's like, oh no, I have the perk on this gear that I love using. Let's get it.
I mean,
The only
anytime I have to climb something, I just move my hand differently and get ready to whistle a lot.
You're one of those.
yeah.
I was
whistling.
the guy who made that video.
Gee,
When
As
I
much
do how to climb in the rain, people are like, "What?"
the what? Conrad, you have something to say?
As much as I like those ideas, I'm a little bit afraid that they may be a little bit too deep because they don't want to throw people straight out on deep water. And one of the reasons is that some people will be jumping into this as before Breath of the Wild. And one of the
if they put 2 in the title, no, they won't.
no,
Yeah,
but
I really feel
listen.
Nintendo needs to really market that this game is indeed a sequel, because I
Yes.
I don't want them to be barred
No,
off
I-
by
I-
that
I don't think
developmental
they're gonna
thought
do-
process.
They're not gonna do a sequel. Like, Nintendo has done that before, and anytime that they put a 2 in the title, it's always bad sales for them because people
Yeah.
get in the mindset of, I need to play 1. Do I need to beat 1? Things like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna have a different name.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not going to say
And Nintendo's
Breath
a
of the
business.
Wild.
And it also is gonna knowing Nintendo's track record, they're probably gonna make sure that if you didn't play Breath of the Wild, you can still get into this game, like the same way they did with Majora's Mask. Yeah, Majora's Mask is technically a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time, but you don't have to play Ocarina of Time. Like
You don't need
might
to
not.
know anything about Ocarina of Time.
Well, the only thing that may not make sense in the beginning is the whole thing with the Ocarina and the flashback with Zelda. If you didn't play Ocarina of Time, you won't understand what's happening there. But other than that, you can just pick up the game.
Dang,
and
guys.
you can just play.
Guys, I'm big mad. Like I went and did one little slice of research into it, and Austin is right, as he always is. Super Mario Galaxy moved around 12 million units. Super Mario Galaxy 2 only moved like not even 8 million units.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 versus Black and White. Same thing.
I'm about to look at that right now. Holy. I mean, but
Even
didn't Pokemon Black and White as a whole just do bad in general?
I mean, I didn't play it.
Alright, let's see.
I consider that like my dark time in Pokemon, which is
Oof,
Diamond.
yeah, I see it. Black and White did 15 million units, and Black and White 2 only did 8 million units. Oof.
I guess numeric titles in general tend to sometimes scare people off
But
because
they do,
they will be
yeah.
like, oh, I didn't play those other games. Will I even be able to understand this game? There are exceptions, of course. I mean, The Witcher 3 was... I mean, I'm assuming there was a Witcher 2 and 1.
Yeah,
I'm not a big...
but
Even Xenoblade
that's-
Chronicles 2.
Yeah, but that's different in a sense where the previous games either were not accessible or they weren't as highly regarded as the game that came after it. And that kind of has
Or
like
too
the
old.
whole reverse effect. Like just like Xenoblade 2 and Witcher 3. You know, like Witcher 1 and 2, they were good games. Witcher 3 it was like, yo, this is it. Like, and then Witcher 3 had better sales than 1 and 2.
Here's
Yeah.
a great example. During the big hype coming up until and leading to Kingdom Hearts 3, I was like, oh, everyone is super excited for this game. I kind of want to check it out and see what's going on.
Oh, Austin's
Then
about
after-
to about this. He's going into dangerous territory with me, my boy.
After discussing with people, they're like, well, there's a lot you have to do first. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you need to do 1 and 2 and then 2.5 and 2 3/4 and 2 9/8 and then 1.75 and then Kingdom
the
Hearts
memes.
pi divided by 2 and then you could play 3. And I'm like, or I just don't play 3.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
I can see that.
But then here's
Okay.
where the numbers come into play because, you know, even this I understand what you're saying, like, because the meme is real, the meme is true, but Kingdom Hearts 3 was the fastest and highest performing Kingdom Hearts game of all time, so
Yeah.
I can't speak to the game at all because I know nothing
True,
of the
that-
franchise.
no, that's
A lot
true.
of
That
people
is
just play
true.
the game.
yeah.
But you
Well,
know what?
I
I
know
mean,
this may be a little bit insult. Oh,
as
sorry.
opposed to like Final Fantasy, where even if you don't play Final Fantasy, you know that they're all unique games.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people
They're
say,
all self-contained
Well, what's the
stories.
best one to start? And I'm like, 10.
Ooh,
10 is 10 is
Yeah.
definitely the. If you've never played a Final Fantasy or a JRPG,
Okay, all right, there you go.
10,
Like,
10
with
is the
that
easiest
context-
one to get into.
Yeah, with that context, I mildly agree. Yeah.
Like 12 is amazing, but you should play 10 first.
Hmm.
And you should never play 10 too.
You know,
And,
I still die in the
13.
hill of 7 and 3. So, you know,
I didn't play 3. And you know what? I love 7. 7 is one of my favorite games of all time. But to anyone who never played polygonal RPGs, I don't recommend 7.
Oh,
you know, looking back,
Mhm.
7 is a very ugly game. Like,
It's a horrible
Oh my
game.
God.
Dude, I played
Thanks
it on
for
the
the
Switch
remake.
when it came out, and I'm just like, yeah, like, I'm invested in the story because I know the story. I'm invested in what's going on because,
but
you know,
yo,
I've
you can
already
on
lived
the
this.
Switch version max limit, bro. Like, there you go. You want the story max limit?
I just used a joystick to hold the right button, and then I used auto click to activate max limit and max speed, and that was my grinding, which was super nice. You know,
Oh,
I come
but-
back and all my materia is maxed out. Sign me up.
okay, I would like to get back to Breath of the Wild because
That's that. No, that's fine. That's fine.
yeah. But
Well,
first I'm going might bring up a point that is not that great for you, HMK, and that is the fact that I think most
Oh god.
people,
Okay. Wait.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Strap
most
in.
people who played Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't play it for the story. They played it for the Disney worlds. They played it for the
Of course, 'cause
gameplay.
Disney
and
is a
the
huge
colorful
draw.
characters.
Disney is a huge draw when it comes to the power of Kingdom Hearts.
Breath, Zelda
Or
is different.
they played it because they felt obligated.
Yeah, that's also possible. But I think the Disney brand has a lot to say for the sales also for of Kingdom Hearts because it attracts also younger audiences and so on.
All right, so I'm waiting for the Breath of the Wild part.
So the Breath of the Wild part is coming now,
Yeah.
and that is the fact that Breath of the Wild was a very different game because it was built so that everyone who has not played a Zelda game before can get into this game and feel comfortable with this game. And I think the perfect example of that. Have you watched Angry Joe's review of Breath of the Wild?
I have.
I have not.
He is a person who never played a Zelda game before Breath of the Wild, and now he's in love with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But if he went back to play the other Zelda games, I'm not sure if he would have had such an amazing experience because people want this open.
Oh, I don't recommend anyone to play Breath of the Wild as their first Zelda game.
Agree.
Right. No,
I agree.
same.
It's going to ruin your complete impression of all the other past games, which you should play before you play Breath of the Wild. But there's just so many people at this point who have played Breath of the Wild and never played any of the other Zelda games. And that is such a shame because you don't realize what the franchise truly is, or maybe say was. Because Zelda is heading in a new direction. And it looks like Nintendo is branching out Zelda to a bigger audience post Breath of the Wild. They see how much better Breath of the Wild did.
Yeah, because I mean, they see this as a game that works better on a more casual and hardcore market. Because I mean, it did better than previous Zelda games. And you guys need to understand, money talks the loudest when it comes to companies. You know, Nintendo, whatever video game companies, they're not your friends. They're video game companies. They're companies that are looking for the bottom dollar, the bottom dollar as their biggest
the most
thing.
Conservative of the Japanese, of the Japanese game developers and console makers. Nintendo is by far the most conservative.
Right.
And they are always about business. Like you could actually divide this up because. Iwata era was much about player joy, giving everything, give a player experience based business, right? Post Iwata with Kimishima and Furukawa, it's just all about we're just going to give them what they want,
right,
and nothing else. And that is, and what is the Breath of the Wild the result of? Skyrim's massive success that crushed the sales numbers of Skyward Sword. That is what brought the change in the Zelda direction. That's when they realized that this is the future of this genre, and we need to completely overhaul the Zelda formula,
right?
In order to be able to get to the same sales numbers. And if you look at the sales numbers of Breath of the Wild, the most recent numbers are way above 17.4 million copies sold on the Nintendo Switch alone. Right. So the strategy.
It's the first game to surpass the sales numbers of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
by far.
But I wouldn't be too worried about fans going back though, because if I see the general trend amongst fans, like I made a video a while back about Breath of the Wild, my own personal experience and how I feel like it's a new milestone for the series, and. In the video, I basically say that Breath of the Wild is a new generation game that, like, similar to how Ocarina of Time was a generation-defining game for me. I'm 33 years old, so there's going to be gamers out there right now who are like 15, 14, even younger than that, and Breath of the Wild is going to be their first game. And if I looked at my comment section in general, like there were so many comments of young gamer, either young gamers or people who didn't play any other Zelda game before Breath of the Wild, and they're all going back to the old games. They're all tracing back through the series now because they fell in love with Breath of the Wild, and yeah, maybe the games won't be up to the same expectation as they had. Like they're maybe gonna boot up Twilight Princess and be like, wait, I cannot climb, I cannot paraglide, what the like? But right. They're still. The general consensus was very positive. Like a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I'm totally tracing back through the whole older series. I'm playing the 2D games. I'm playing the 3D games now. Breath of the Wild was my first game, but I'm discovering the whole series now." It also does a very big favor to games that would have by now, like the only people who still would be playing them right now would be old fans.
But Tony, I have to disagree a little bit because this are the new big Zelda fans. But most of the viewers, like if you look at the views on Zelda videos, most of the people that played Breath of the Wild did not become massive Zelda fans and Zelda lore fans because they just love the gameplay and they love this new setup of Zelda. Right. And they are the big,
there's nothing wrong with that, really.
Silent majority. This is the silent majority of Zelda. People that don't really care about the timeline, that don't really care about the established lore. They just love what was set up in Breath of the Wild, and that's where they want to continue. And I think that is also something that Nintendo is about to realize.
So,
that, you know what? This new audience is so much bigger than the one we already had over the years
I want
that
to.
we should cater to them more than the previous.
I
bunch.
want to
And that-
round off this.
That was the last love letter to us, and then the next step will be to satisfy the demands of the new, much bigger audience.
Right. I want to round that off with, telling a story about what happened in E3 2016. I don't know if any of y'all, because I know Conrad went to 2017, and I know you, Conrad, I know you didn't go to 2016. Did any of you guys go to?
I was at 17.
Were you at 16?
No, that was before my career.
All right. So in 2016 E3, right? I was there with a couple of friends and my fiance, and that's when they finally unveiled Breath of the Wild, and the Nintendo booth was all dedicated to Breath of the Wild. Day one, Tuesday, when they revealed Breath of the Wild, me, obviously, Nintendo fan, Zelda fan, Uber fan, let's get it. We went there first. The booth was, mildly packed, right? There was people in line. We got our ticket. We went, played Breath of the Wild. And
this was before it was open publicly with the Gamer Pass, right?
Yes, yeah. This is the last E3 that was private.
Back when media could go there and do their damn job.
Yep, exactly. So I went there, and I played the game. And I'm telling you right now, like it was amazing. And I'm like, I was a Zelda Uber fan, and I played it. The scenery, the booth was just amazing. It was like I was in Breath of the Wild, even though the demo was only in the Great Plateau. And I played it, and I'm like, on the Wii U, mind you. And I'm like, yo, this is really it. This is lit. And I'm like, I was expecting so many different things. Playing every Zelda game before Breath of the Wild, I'm like, okay, how is this game gonna wow me, right? I played it and I'm like, bro, I was blown back, right? That was day one. And a lot of people didn't understand that. So after day one, the powerful effect of the word of mouth spread so hard from day one. Day two, Austin, Conrad, Don, I'm telling you right now, people were, I'm sure you saw the videos, people were running over people to get to the Nintendo booth on day two. It was crazy. As you can see from the E3 cameras of people just running, just like they were vaulting over people. There was a person that tripped and people were running over that person to get to the Nintendo booth. People like spilled their breakfast or their brunch. I saw like salads and like salads, biscuits and stuff on the floor because apparently like they must have dropped it running to it was a freak fest. And people got
Mufasa in the
straight up, yo, yeah, straight up. And luckily on the second day, I had a appointment check with Nintendo, so I didn't have to deal with that, right? But I still wanted to play it multiple times, so I ran with my fiance to the Nintendo booth, and I still got a good place in line. I played that demo 4 fucking times at that E3, and man, I was like, no regrets. I didn't have time to check out the other games that year. I was like, yo, this is all I need. Breath of the Wild 2016 E3, that was so balling. And bro, honestly, with the way that E3 is going with the way E3 is going in the future, I am not in a rush to go to E3. But if there's ever if E3 2021 is if the world returns to a mildly normal state, if E3 2021 has Breath of the Wild 2, I would go if the stars align. But if I don't go, I'm not gonna kick myself over it. But I'm telling y'all right now, for whoever goes, get ready for a battlefield. I'm just saying that right now, because not only did Breath of the Wild, when the event was closed, produce that kind of hype, Breath of the Wild 2 in a public event, y'all better be ready. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's why you need contacts at Nintendo, so you can get a private session.
Yeah. True.
Yo,
So,
Goo's like, give me Nintendo Direct.
I managed to get to New York. Well, hang on. Let me just share real quick because it's a similar experience. I managed to get to the New York presentation of Breath of the Wild on the Switch.
Wait, you were there?
Yeah.
I was there too. What the fuck?
Yeah, did you get the water bottle?
Yeah!
I still have my water bottle.
Oh, boy, I'm about to, wait, I'm about to bust. Hold on.
The pipe. The little 8-ounce boy. He left. Okay.
I have like two. I have like a few
get it.
Switch water bottles.
Oh, wait.
Yep,
Yo,
yep. That's
Austin.
the same one. It's the same little water bottle that I have.
I got the water bottle. Yo, you know these little fuckers are going for like $100?
Really?
Yeah!
I have 3.
Bro. Hey guys, it's just
No,
plastic.
You don't have 3.
Wait. Is yours empty?
Mine's empty. What the fuck? I drank it.
Bro, I still got my water in mine.
I was thirsty, man. What the heck? Mine's empty.
Oh, wait a minute.
Steal.
Wait a minute. You got just regular water bottles. We got like these multi-usage bottles made by a Swedish manufacturer.
Oh, look at me. I'm in the UK. I got all this awesome stuff.
Nintendo sent me a Nintendo Switch towel and a Link's Awakening Switch towel. Beach towel, mind you.
Yeah, but do you have a Super Smash Bros. 2018 medal?
I don't have a medal because
I have a Super Smash Bros. 2019 medal and a championship flag.
I have a 2018 medal and the 2018 championship flag.
Wait. No, I have the 2018 because the E3, the Open Invitational.
Okay, yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Nice.
Which my strategy was great. It was make sure everyone else dies and as Bowser just smash people off.
Man, yo, at that E3, I was so scared because the last man standing in my bracket was a Mega Man, and I'm like, man, I'm not gonna be punked out by a Mega Man, and like, oh my god.
You play Link, right?
Of course I do. All day, every day, every Smash.
Yeah. Actually, I've been on your stream very secretly once before. We did a Link Ditto.
That was you?
Yeah.
Don't be secret. What you doing?
Yeah, we did a Link Ditto, and I think I won, but you made a crazy comeback.
I think you did win.
But you made a crazy comeback though, because I was like up like a full stock. I was like, I got this.
I remember that exact match because I in any fighting game I always run by the creed of never surrender. There are a lot of people like, I'm down 2 stocks, or I'm down a stock, or I'm down this much. You know, I might as well just take the loss for this round. I was like, no, never surrender.
Yeah, well, at the end, I was literally one dash attack or smash attack away from death. So it was still a tight match. Very tight match. It was.
Oh my god. So back with the Breath of the Wild 2 train. I'm just letting y'all know when Breath of the Wild 2 finally gets its first playable taste in public, I'm just letting y'all know, get ready to be ready. Man, if I don't make it to any playable things, I'm gonna need you to bring me back a coin or some shit. Like,
ready to email Nintendo months in advance so that you don't get killed on the show floor because people will stab.
Yeah, but they're being a lot more particular now, especially with North American people. I know you're good, but I mean, like, I don't know.
But I know PR. The problem is PR agencies. Like, you never really have contact with Nintendo. And you never feel like you have contact with Nintendo. There's always this barrier. While in Europe, and especially, I would say in general in Europe, because UK, they also have a PR agency. Yeah. But in Europe, you actually have contact with people in Nintendo PR. They're not a PR agency. They are actually in Nintendo, and you meet those people on a regular basis. Like, I can go and say, hey, I want to have a meeting. Let's take lunch in the center of Oslo, and then we can talk about the review, pre-launch review copy.
Damn, I wish I could get that kind of treatment. What the fuck? Like,
I'm saying it, but the benefit is the benefit of living in a smaller country,
right?
Because they have small people to deal with, and they don't outsource things.
Well, what are you saying, Austin?
Care about you.
We definitely don't have that here. As someone who was a Nintendo brand ambassador, you have what I like to refer to as your handler.
Yeah.
That is the truest. That oh my god.
Yeah. Then your handler is the person who talks to you and makes sure that you get the right content and everything else. And you know what? At the end of the day, I was invited to the Mario Odyssey event in the city. And I got press credentials, and I was informed the day before. So the day before they gave me press clearance.
I was there.
Oh, nice. I went there, met up with my rep, my handler, and they gave me access and everything. And here I am, you know, filming stuff. And then I looked to my left, and Reggie's there. Got my selfie. I was happy. And then, you know, outside they have the people from Hamilton performing, and I'm just inside talking to my rep. And you know, you gotta rub elbows with these people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so let me get this straight. You invited me here. You're giving me a review copy of this game tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. She's like, yeah. And you invited me here at midnight so I can purchase it myself. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, you can understand why I'm going to politely decline that review copy, right? And she's like, yeah, I get it. And I'm like, so I really need these ahead of time. And she's like, well, what game do you want? And I'm like, Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. And she's like, all right. So it's just that dirty world of like, you got to talk to the right people and you got to say the right things
At the right time, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we did the same
it's
thing.
like Tinder. You can't lead with the dick pic. You gotta build up the conversation.
But Austin,
That was a perfect analogy.
I had the exact
God, I
same
love it.
situation. I had the exact same situation with,
On Tinder?
Goblin. No, not Tinder, but with Goblin. With Goblin. And the thing is that I was also mad because, believe it or not, the way I was able to play Super Mario Odyssey before launch and be able to get the review was to go from one side of the planet, so Norway, to San Francisco, where I was expecting Joseph to get a pre-launch review copy. He didn't get it because, you know, the whole Mario and Luigi Superstar
that whole
saga
debacle.
thing happened, right?
Yeah.
So I go to San Francisco to this damn motel, and I'm wearing my cappy visor that we got at E3. You remember?
Yep.
Both of you remember.
Mhm.
So I just passed by, nice hat, and nice. You're playing the Switch? Yeah, I'm actually playing Super Mario Odyssey. I was just like, what? How do you do that? No, I'm from Denmark, and Denmark is like the neighboring country of Norway.
Mhm.
I got a pre-launch, and I was just like, I went half of the globe just for a guy from Denmark to go to San Francisco and us meeting in that stupid motel, and that's the way I was able to play the game pre-launch. And I said that to my representative at Golan and said, you know what, this is just ridiculous. You probably realize that. And there's yes. And I said, so
The creepy,
get
rapey stuff that we do.
exactly. Can we get Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before launch? And that's after hearing that story, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before launch, but that was also the last game we got before launch.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, after Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, my rep was no longer with Nintendo. Funny enough, my rep is now with YouTube Gaming and friends with my YouTube partner.
Oh.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, as far as, like, the people at YouTube, like, I'm in a great circle there.
Mhm.
Her name is Kate. Shout out to Kate if she's one of the 114
Wait,
people watching.
Kate?
Yeah.
That used to be our contact at Nintendo.
Yeah, Kate used to be mine too.
Golan too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short brunette hair, pretty
Yes,
cute.
yep. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's Kate. Yeah, she's now at YouTube Gaming.
Well, I actually didn't know she's
I mean,
at
I
YouTube
need to
Gaming
reach
right
out
now.
to her.
Yeah.
How do we contact her? We will have to take that as a DM later on.
She has
That game.
completely different contact info now.
I can
But
imagine.
after she left, I was getting emails from some person who I don't know who was checking up to make sure that I was following the rules of embargo, which is, you know, product provided by Nintendo, stuff like that. And they linked 9 videos in there, and they're like, in these videos, we see that you don't have product provided by Nintendo. And I'm like, yo, half of these aren't me. They aren't on my channel. And the other half, I do have it. Never heard back. I don't think that person's with that company anymore.
Yikes.
And then just, I hit up because E3 was happening and I wanted press credentials for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And they never got back to me. And then they finally got back to me, said that I'm out of the ambassador program because they're redoing it.
Oh, so you got the same thing as beat 'em ups.
Oh, I don't know what happened to Wood. I
The
just know
same
that
thing.
Wood
The
put
same
out
thing
a
happened
video.
to Wood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just they go silent and then they're like, nope, you're not here. Which, you know what? Funny enough, I then became friends with the modding community, and the modding community gets these games, and they don't have embargoes, and any custom firmware switch can run it. And it was so horrible that during Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I got my review copy about 10 days before the game came out, and I'm ecstatic. Ecstatic. I get it at, I think, like 1:30 p.m., right? Mm-hmm. That night, that same night, my buddy Philly Beats You hits me up, and he's like, yo, the game's leaked online. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, they leaked online. Whole bunch of information is coming out. It's kind of unreputable right now, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that they haven't disclosed yet. And I'm like, well, I have a 4-page letter telling me all the things I'm not allowed to talk about. How many of those things that you think are going to be on this list? All of them.
Uh-oh.
Every single thing that was on the embargo that I was not allowed to discuss in my official review on release day was leaked the same day that I got the game. And that was the last day that I wanted a review copy ever.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem with games these days, because the internet has them from mom and pop shops long before you even get the review copies.
Yeah. So like Pokemon Sword and Shield.
There's no point.
When the guide leaked in Indonesia and the guy was uploading pictures, I could cover that. I mean, Nintendo went on a spree of sending out, copyright claims and takedown letters and everything else like that. And I talked to some people that I'm not going to talk about, and I was like, hey, listen, do you want me to take down my video? And they're like, we can't give you legal advice. And I'm like, no.
Oh, you can't give me, you can't give me that kind of...
Do you want me to take down the video and say I took down the video because we should take down the video? And they're like, yeah, that would help. So I took down my videos, and I put out a statement of everyone who's a content creator who covered this should take down their videos. And it was one of those moments that it's like, you get more flies with honey than with vinegar. But you know what? Working with Nintendo is never easy.
It never is. Man, oh man. But let's dial back to Breath of the Wild 2 for our final stretch. Now, this is going to be the final...
review situation for that game.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's fine. That's the power of the fifth dimension. We go off these tangents and you don't feel bad about them. Right, now, here's the final question of the stream. To each one of y'all. I'll go last, but I'm going to pose the question first. And I'm going to go... MonsterMaze is going to go first. So, do you
reverse
think...
alphabetical order.
Reverse, yeah, basic. No, I mean, Austin, you have... Whatever. Anyways, MonsterMaze. Do you think we are going to get another Breath of the Wild 2 trailer this year?
Yeah, I think we probably will. My bet is on September or the Game Awards at the latest.
Because the Game Awards let me down for the last fucking time, so I'm not gonna bet on their money.
Yeah, I can totally understand it. I was also up at 4 because it aired late into the night and early morning here in Europe, so I stayed up for nothing basically. But yeah, I would definitely think so.
You stayed up really late to see that Red Dead Redemption 2 won everything.
Yeah, true.
You stayed up really late to see that the final game reveal was a Fast and Furious game.
Oh my god!
Of the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
With Vin Diesel. Oh god. But yeah,
the game of the year.
I think that they've been quiet for long enough. They cannot keep I told this to Conrad before too. Like I was in a bit of a hissy fit about it. Like, yeah, sure, COVID-19 it has its the whole situation. It's bad, but they cannot keep hiding behind that as an excuse not to at least show stuff. You can. They proved that you can film stuff without too many people involved. And you can just give us some stuff.
If there's any testament to that, did you see the Apple keynote?
I actually did not. I thought he was referring to Sakurai's thing, but
yeah,
no, Sakurai's was sad, but the Apple keynote was from a cinematography app side, the best presentation that has ever happened on the internet.
Wow.
Yeah. Go watch it.
I'll give it a watch. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do it. I'll do it
Even
tomorrow
though
because it's like 1 a.m. right now.
All right.
Are all of you guys Android?
Well, I mean, like, I'm not doubting Apple products, but I use Androids. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, MonsterMaze, you finished your piece, or you have more to say?
No, that's basically it. Like I said, they can pull something off, and some people have been speculating like, oh, maybe they're gonna do the same thing they did with Paper Mario. I would actually be kind of disappointed if they drop a new trailer that way, because it loses all the hype. Oh, it's already up. Shit, I missed it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Nintendo runs to the beat of their own drum. So
yeah. So, but I think Zelda is just a little bit too big of a reveal to just be diminished to a Twitter drop.
Right.
So I'd rather not see anything for the next 2 months and get like a proper direct and get hyped, and we all sit together, clenched to our screens, and instead of just waking up one day and being like, oh, there's a new trailer on the on the Twitter. Like
right. So,
that would be but yeah.
With that being said, I'm gonna throw it to Conrad now. So yes. Conrad, do you think we'll get another trailer this year?
I want to see a damn Nintendo Direct anytime soon, because this beard is getting.
I know, like, yo, if you guys don't know, Conrad made the pact that he's not gonna shave his beard until a Nintendo Direct, a general Nintendo Direct, is shown off, right? And it still hasn't happened. Let me tell you,
did the mini count or no?
The mini does not count.
You should have just done like a little bit of trimming for the mini.
I agree with that, but yo, Conrad's beard is getting
exactly
wild.
Like it's direct. Yeah, Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Funny.
Honestly, dude, I mean, it's so grown out. Don't.
I'm gonna trim it.
I'm gonna shape it. Yeah.
I'm gonna trim it. I'm gonna trim it, and it's because we have had presentations. I even made a fan direct myself. So I'm going to trim it, but I'm not going to shorten it down much. I just don't want to have beard in my mouth. That's the only thing I want to avoid.
No, I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Because I've been eating burgers and eating hair at the same time, which has been absolutely atrocious. But back to your question.
Always got to clean the lip.
I think that we're not going to see Breath of the Wild until the Game Awards. And the reason is that Nintendo still has some games.
Why is everyone putting their eggs in the basket that broke last year?
I know it broke last year, but last year the game was it's now under development, right? But the thing is, this game is entirely tied to the top model Nintendo Switch. And they want to talk about it one more time before they start to talk about it alongside the top model Nintendo Switch. Pretty much the same strategy they did for Breath of the Wild. Remember, they talked about the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild once. That was E3. But it wasn't actually once. It was twice. It was also at the Game Awards again. They did that in December when they had that gameplay sequence in, guess where? Zonai Ruins. It's so funny. They actually did the gameplay sequence in that location. And then that's also when we got the Life in the Ruins trailer as well. So I think that the Game Awards is the stage to do it. Jeff Keighley has really been doing an excellent job with Summer Game Fest. He's pretty much replacing E3 at this point. Yes, he's not been able to get Nintendo there, but Nintendo and Jeff are good buddies, and they have done massive reveals in the past. And I think that Zelda belongs on the two big stages, and that's E3 and that's the Game Awards. Or a dedicated Nintendo Switch presentation like we had in January 2017. And I think that's also the strategy that they will do for Breath of the Wild, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because Zelda deserves it. Zelda deserves to be on the biggest stage. It deserves to be where you find more mainstream audiences, and where people really realize that how big Nintendo is, and that Nintendo means business. With this game. So I think we will see it at the Game Awards. Then we'll see it again when they reveal the top model Nintendo Switch, because that's why we don't have any new Nintendo Switch models in 2020. And then we're going to see another trailer building up to the release. And then it depends. If it comes out early in 2020, which I'm not really entirely sure because of the whole situation right now, I begin to believe more and more that it's going to be the holiday game of 2021, because that's how they're going to push it, and it's all about countering the big push, and also pretty much spoiling the first year of the limited amount of games that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X will have in the first few months. And I think that Nintendo is very cynical about this.
Now, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I think about it. It's all business. It's all business for them, and they want to maximize their profits when it comes to this particular game, and also give the boost that they want to give this top model Nintendo Switch, but also to the Nintendo Switch, so that it can last out its life cycle, which will be somewhere in 2023, 2024.
Right. Now,
I know that was a lot.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's completely fine. But my take on that
how it
is that it is the kind of double-edged sword that MonsterMaze introduced. Is that I feel with Breath of the Wild 2, I don't think their announcement will be just like, dropped on a dime, just like, Paper Mario, the Origami King was. I feel that the next trailer will be hyped up, the next announcement will be hyped up, but an upcoming trailer may indeed reveal the fact that Breath of the Wild 2 could literally be, we don't know it, because I mean, like, look at Smash for 2018. It was revealed in March, came out December, right? It was ready, set to go. Breath of the Wild 2 could have a very similar situation where it's ready, set to go, and it still might be able to make a holiday 2020 release, because I mean, like, but beyond Paper Mario, we don't know, like the slate for Nintendo's first party stuff is blank, right? Beyond Paper Mario.
We don't know the holiday release this year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it could be possible that they hype up the announcement, but then the announcement reveals that, like, hey, Breath of the Wild 2 is ready. Get ready for 2020. I feel that could be really possible, given that Nintendo's weird, wild track record, specifically with the Nintendo Switch. But I do get what you're saying, that it might work better in the favor of hyping everything up for 2021, especially since it's Zelda's 35th anniversary. But consider this. Another thing that I keep playing around with is that Breath of the Wild 2 releasing in 2020 will give Nintendo a chance to release a lot more merch accompanying stuff, and like books, merch, stickers, whatever the fuck, right? In 2021 for the 35th anniversary, in which they don't really have to worry about spoilers. So Breath of the Wild 2 comes out 2020, and people play it 2020 into early 2021, and then mid or late 2021, people already know the characters, know the story, because thanks to the power of gaming and social media, that is really like whatever things that are new, people get a grasp onto or get attached to, and now they get to buy or purchase in other forms when it comes to, like, when Nintendo decides to put out gloves, socks, shirts, figures, toys, all that stuff that could be part of the 2021 35th anniversary celebration, and which could include DLC. So, that's my whole perspective take on that.
I'm gonna pop that bubble so hard, and that is, it's very, like, the strategy Nintendo has put for the Nintendo Switch is mind-bogglingly simple and so efficient at the same time, and it's a classic example that the simple is often the best.
But at the same time, Conrad,
I haven't explained my idea here,
right.
And that is the fact that they are pushing Zelda out as the big push for every damn revision of the Switch. Breath of the Wild with
I understand
Nintendo
that,
Switch, Link's Awakening with Nintendo Switch Lite, top model Nintendo Switch, to show the graphical leap from Breath of the Wild in 2017 to Breath of the Wild sequel on the most powerful Switch, and with the experience and upgrades that you can do when we're not bound to
quote unquote.
Think about Twilight Princess, which came out on the GameCube and the Wii simul release, and then they released Skyward Sword.
Let's not forget that Breath of the Wild was supposed to be a Wii U only game.
Yeah. I just want to say at the end of the day of all that, you know, Nintendo, I feel Nintendo's track record is never consistent enough for us to go out on a limb and say that this is the definite. You know what I mean?
For sure. Especially since we don't have any, like, we have no new Metroid Prime coming anytime soon. We don't have anything else like, of course, you're going to have some sort of confirmation bias if you really want to see 2020 happen. So you're going to look for every excuse you can find that it might still release in 2020. But it all depends on what we're going to see, because we have no idea in what stage of development the game is right now. Like, granted, I will give you that they probably already started development, like hardcore getting into the development into this game even before the Champions Ballad already released. So the game might have been shown 1 year ago, but it could have, for all we know, it could have also been in development for 2.5 years already, which would give them enough time to perhaps, like, let's just put it this way. At the beginning of this year, I was a big 2020 release guy. But
same. I was there exactly same.
Yeah, as the year started to progress further and further, I started to realize it's getting more and more unrealistic at this point, especially because of the situation, but also because of other like signs of Nintendo. We should have had something by now.
I think the best way of putting this, Donnie, I just brought this up, is what we want, what is the best for Nintendo. And I think those two are opposing each other. We of course want this game as soon as possible, because we want to play the next big leap and find out how this will continue or even conclude.
Right.
But Nintendo, they think from how can we sell as many damn copies of this game as possible. That is what they are thinking at Nintendo corporate.
Make gamers happy, make investors happy.
Exactly. Yeah, they have to, please both parties. Now, we've been going a little too hard on that tangent, specifically that it was introduced by Conrad, but that was all I had to say about that take. But I want to throw the ball over to Austin. And Austin, do you think we are going to get another trailer when it comes to Breath of the Wild 2 this year?
It's Nintendo, so who the fuck knows?
That means so many things when you say that. It's like, it's Nintendo. I'm like, that means it's that means yes and no. You know that means both.
Yes,
like
no,
like,
green and macaroni and cheese all at the same time.
Wait,
you know what? Like, normally during early summer, we hear sporadic mid-year things that are not like the big sellers. Then, come September, is the roundup. The roundup is, these are all the things to buy this holiday. And then, the last direct of the year is, hey, it's Christmas, buy this for your kids.
Guys, I'm posting this in the chat. I'm posting this on the stream. This is literally what Austin was like when he said, it's Nintendo, yes and no. This is the physical representation of that. And if, Austin, you're not seeing it, it's a green green stop sign. That's what you say, it's Nintendo. I'm like, this is what I get from that. But I do understand what you're saying. Like, it's really, when it comes to like their strategy, what they would want, what would they want, and what will be best for them is just like, there's so many polarizing options and variables in which, like, oh, what works for them, what will work for them, what has worked for them. Will they listen to it? Of course not, maybe, because at the end of the day, Nintendo literally is a company that rolls to the beat of their own drum. I mean, look at Nintendo Switch Online.
And hang on.
Yeah.
Not only roll to the beat of their own drum, but now we have yet to really see what the reign of Bowser entails.
That's right, Doug Bowser. But how much power do you think Doug Bowser has over Nintendo Japan? That's the thing.
He's the president of Nintendo America.
That's America. I'm talking about the motherland, Japan.
Corporate.
I'm pretty sure they work hand in hand.
I want to say that, but my perspective is that I'm pretty sure Nintendo America answers to Nintendo Japan.
Of course, yeah, they do.
Answers and works with. Listen, the Japanese team those are definitely the devs. Those are the programmers.
Right.
Those are the people making the software. But when it comes to the sales, their number one market is the United States.
It is.
And they're going to listen to what the United States wants, and they're going to look at the market analyst studies and everything else like that. And they're not going to negate those things. They work hand in hand.
I definitely get what you're saying. I get where you're coming from. I wish I had more, what's the word? I wish I had more actions from Nintendo in the past that would help me, like, you know, jump aboard that statement. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, at the same time, we're in an unprecedented state of the world.
We are.
Who's to know?
Like, if you only like just look at some of the character reveals for the DLC characters of Smash Ultimate. Like, there's so many character reveals. Like, everybody here is like, wait, who is this? Why did they release this specific character? And then it turns out it's like a very, very big deal in Japan.
Oh, yeah. Hero from Dragon Quest.
Banjo. I got Banjo. I'm done.
Same, fist bump, Austin. That honestly, that's my most hype Smash announcement to this day.
I cried.
But
Banjo, oh my god.
I'm a grown-ass man, and I cried.
It at least indicates that they also don't strictly listen to the American market and what the American people want. They also listen to Japanese trends.
That's not Nintendo. That's Sakurai.
What's
Sakurai
that?
does Sakurai.
There's one thing
Sakurai is
I need to point out about Nintendo and Japan, and that is Nintendo Directs. Who is in control of Nintendo Directs? NCL, Nintendo Corporate Limited. And the same goes with how do these games... Yes, they do take inspirations from the West and so on, but at the end of the day, it's the Japanese office that pulls the strings. The other teams are just there to localize and try to match the existing product to the existing market. A good example of that is, probably not the best example of how you do it, is the localization of the box art of Breath of the Wild. America got exactly the same as Japan. In Europe, we got this weird...
You got the blue one.
Artwork of Link just looking at you.
Yeah, Australia got the same thing. Whenever I sign into my Australian account, my Breath of the Wild cover changes.
Yeah, and that's when you realize how much power these localization teams have. They have the power of translation, so they can alter things within the game itself, and they have the power of maybe doing the box art, depending on their will. But they don't have that much more power other than that. They are there to get the games from Japan and sell them in their markets. That's all they do.
I agree.
Unfortunately.
And you know, and when it comes to all these aspects, when it comes to Breath of the Wild 2, I feel like the biggest thing we can say at the end of the day is just wait and see. But guys, thank you all so much for coming. Oh god, coming to this explosive episode, the final episode of the 5th dimension of the month of June. July, we're gonna make it big, and I want to thank my guests for joining me: AustinJohnPlays, Commonwealth Realm, and of course, MonsterMaze. Now,
oh shit, what up?
Wait, what?
Oh shit, what up?
Oh shit. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it to them to go ahead and do their individual plugs. I'm gonna start with Austin John, then go to Commonwealth, and then to MonsterMaze, and we shall call it a day. All right, Austin John, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Austin John of the YouTube channel Austin John Plays, where I play, and I'm Austin John. Thanks.
All right, Commonwealth Realm, let's get it, Conrad.
Well, I'm Conrad of the Commonwealth Realm. I do Zelda stuff, just like HMK, but very much about Breath of the Wild 2. Pretty much what we've been talking about the last 2 hours. So if you're into that and want to see regular uploads on Breath of the Wild 2, especially on mechanics and ideas and potential of the game, then yeah, that's the place for you. Commonwealth Realm on YouTube, and there's probably going to be some link in the description down below.
Oh, definitely. All right, MonsterMaze, is all you.
Hello, I am MonsterMaze, and I make Zelda videos. But I also edit for the Commonwealth Realm, so if you like those videos, head over to my channel and you will find something of a similar quality. So.
Oh, are you the person to thank for that timeline editing?
Which one?
All of them, the cinematic.
Oh, Yeah, the opening cinematics and stuff. I do mostly animations and editing. Only on the Zelda videos though. Commonwealth Realm also has their own Nintendo Switch new stuff, of course. But yeah, I'm basically a stray that decided, hey, wait, I can also make my own channel and present some of my ideas.
Definitely.
Yeah. By the way, in the middle of this, Dr. Disrespect got banned from Twitch.
I saw that, and that's
no
a whole other
explanation.
can of worms. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
So go ahead, and check out their channels. I'm gonna leave all of their links in the description box below. I am literally trying to wrap this up because I really need to use the bathroom, and it was about time, anyways. So to wrap this up, guys, remember. Check out the Fifth Dimension every Friday. This was a special episode for the end of June that started at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we usually go live at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be sure to check out the Fifth Dimension, which is also a Twitch team that I've started. And we're going to go ahead and raid Stealth 40k that is live right now with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So be sure to go over there and send him our love. And it's gonna be lit, and I can't wait for the next week's episode of the Fifth Dimension. Thank you so much for coming on, and thanks to my boys for coming on. I can't wait for PAX, PAX Part 2. Let's get it. So guys,
Bye everyone.
Until the next Fifth Dimension, this has been HMK and the others, and we will check you guys later.
Remember, stay in touch with yourself.
Oh boy,
Good night.
Laters.